ones, And don't chip off the wannabes you're gonna see. Cause I'ma have it going on like the 15th first of the month. Strapped with your blunt for your paper. Docked in a spot so you can taper. Another dose of major or players in the game. It's a 94 thing and the damn thing changed. And on them beats, man, you best to get with me. I'm act like myself, got to keep my game crispy. Tight, tighter than the tightest. Laying them tracks down, cause you know I got the finest skills in producing, cause I can't get loose in. And when it comes to macking, you know that I be stacking. So
game recognize game in the bag, man.
And you know it don't stop.
Game recognize game in the bag, man.
Hey, Perfect Timing Podcast, we live, baby, let's go.
You got to take it to the top.
Game recognize game in the bag, man. Game versus wisdom.
I'ma go, let's play some dominoes. You owe me money, but I know you.
Perfect Timing Podcast, let's go.
It's more than you know we got stuff make up. Conspicuously, I got to get the beat. The number one Mac and not a cracker for the century. Cause I've been doing this for way too long. I goes on and on till the break of dawn. I got to get my props and chop off the tops and make sure it rocks and check all my wops. Independently, he's a friend of me. Give me all my money cause I ain't got time for splitting G. Macadocious cause I get ferocious. The number one player is the one who gets the closest. How many tracks would it take for me to open up the door for the GLP? Rack, stirs, demo, then bird. The young baby boy saying queen coming in perv. And the rest of the get low P coming in dope with that player JT. Cause
recognize game in the bag, man. Game recognize game in the bag, man. Game recognize game in the bag, man. In the bag, man. In the bag, man. Game recognize game in the bag, man. Game recognize game in the bag, man. Game recognize game in the bag, man. In the bag, man.
why must I dust off these hits? Come with these grips, so let me check all these grips. Thick in rotation, I got to get my mail long. Coming around.
Thank y'all for tuning in. Y'all know what time it is. Let's go, 5.0 in the building. Perfect Timing Podcast 5.0 in the building. Let's go. Game versus wisdom. Let's go. 5.0 is a race to the top. 5.0 is the brothers that won't stop. Let's go. 5.0 is a race to the top. TOP. 5.0 is the brothers that won't stop. Get free. 5.0 is the brothers that won't stop. Get free. 5.0 got the brothers that got it locked. Let's go. 5.0 is the brothers that won't stop. 5.0 is the brothers that got it locked. 5.0 is a race to the top. Let's go. 5.0 is the brothers that got it locked. Get free. 5.0 is the brothers that won't stop. 5.0 got the bitches up on the job. 5.0 is a race to the top. TOP. 5.0 is the brothers that got it locked. Get free. 5.0 is the brothers that won't stop. 5.0 is the brothers that got it locked. Let's go. 5.0 is a race to the top. 5.0 is the brothers that got it locked. 5.0 is the brothers that won't stop. 5.0 is the brothers that's on the top. 5.0 is the brothers that's on the top. 5.0 is the brothers that got it locked. Cool table politics, the seconds watch. 5.0 got the bitches up on the jock. Let's go. 5.0 is a race to the top. TOP. 5.0 is the brothers that got it locked. Get free. 5.0 is the brothers that won't stop. 5.0 is the brothers that got it locked. 5.0 is them brothers that's on the top. TOP. 5.0 is them brothers that got it locked. Get free. 5.0 is them brothers that won't stop. 5.0 got the bitches up on their job. 5.0 is them brothers that's on the top. 5.0 is the brothers that got it locked. 5.0 is the brothers that won't stop. Cool table politics, the suckers watch. Let's go. 5.0 is the brothers that got it locked. TOP. 5.0 is the brothers that won't stop. Get free. 5.0 is the brothers that got it locked. 5.0 got the bitches up on the job. 5.0 is a race to the top. TOP. 5.0 is the brothers that got it locked. Get free. 5.0 is the brothers that won't stop. 5.0 got the bitches up on the job. 5.0 is a race to the top. TOP. 5.0 is the brothers that won't stop. Get free. 5.0 is the brothers that got it locked. 5.0 got the bitches up on the jock. Let's go. Woo! 5.0 theme song in the building. Perfect Timing Podcast, kicking off the podcast with that Who Got Game mix. You got game, he got game. Is it wisdom or is it game? Is it wisdom or is it game?
The wise man built his house on a rock.
What the wise man do?
The foolish man built his house on the sand.
Why the foolish man built his house on the sand? Tell him about it, OG.
And when the rain came tumbling down,
Oh no! It came down.
the foolish man house is washed away.
The foolish man house got washed away. Oh no!
How could the wise man build his house on the sand?
Say it again for him, OG. Tell him about it.
How can the wise man build his house where there is no foundation?
No foundation.
On the sand.
On the sand.
On the sand.
Come on now.
No one built his heart by the will of God.
Where you build your house at, OG? Tell them when to build their house, OG.
But still the wicked people.
You want to build your house on the rock, on strong foundation. Let's go.
So we take a heart along with himself. A pair of animals. Bird and cows and lions and tigers, oh and zebra. How could the wise man build his house on the sand? How can the foolish man build his house on the rock?
He don't have no wisdom. The wise man built his house on the rock. The foolish man built his house on the sand.
What kind of game is that? You taking her to Red Lobster with the cheddar biscuits. The fam ain't eating cheddar biscuits, but this random broad is eating cheddar biscuits.
I know the game. Your granddaddy knows the game.
Game recognized game, granddad.
I recognize game. Your granddaddy recognized game.
Game recognized game, and you looking kind of unfamiliar right now. I can't granddad.
Get out the way.
Don't do it, granddad. Don't feed her.
Come
Don't do it.
Don't feed her.
Don't try to pull me back.
I don't see what.
Don't feed her, granddad. Don't do it, granddad. Not the cheddar biscuits. Not the cheddar biscuits, granddad. Don't do it. Don't do it, Dad. Game recognized game, granddad, and you looking unfamiliar. It's game recognized game, granddad, and you looking unfamiliar, man. We might need to run that back one time, man. Not the cheddar biscuits.
What part of the game is that? You taking her to Red Lobster with the cheddar biscuits. The fam ain't eating cheddar biscuits, but this random broad is eating cheddar biscuits.
How that sound?
I know the game. Your granddaddy knows the game.
Don't sound like it.
Game recognized game, granddad.
I recognize game.
What happened, granddad?
Granddaddy recognized game.
Game recognized game, and you looking kind of unfamiliar right now.
It said game recognized game, and you looking unfamiliar right now, huh?
Game, granddad.
I recognize game. Your granddaddy recognized game.
Game recognized game, and you looking kind of unfamiliar right now. Yes, granddad. Can I help you, sir?
I ain't got time to mess around with y'all. Get out the way.
Oh, shit. Welcome in. Game recognized game, granddad. You looking unfamiliar right now. Welcome into the Perfect Timing Podcast, man. This your boy, Perfect Timing. You rocking with the best. You see the title today. We talking about He Got Game, recognizing the blind spots game versus wisdom. Blind spots, long live the habitual line steppers in the cool table. Thank you to everybody that tuned in. Make sure you share the stream. Let everybody know Perfect Timing Podcast is live right now. We going up. When we continue the conversation, but it's an extension of the conversation. It's my own little twist. as I listened to the conversation earlier today, I started to think it was a hot topic. The hot topic kept going. So I'm like, my interpretation was I didn't want to stop the flow. I said, I got my own podcast, so I'm going to give my interpretation. We hear a lot about game in the space. There's actually a debate between game and the game purveyors, the pimp slayers, the sue slayers, and the game takers, and whether or not for young men coming into this space, the most viable way to lead a successful, because I pray that the individuals the game purveyors, the PUAs, and the pump and dump players, that they actually have a good goal in mind for the young men that they're mentoring with that game BS. And number one, the Perfect Timing Podcast does not buy into game, so it's a little clickbait, because to me there's no debate between whether game or wisdom. I come down from day one, minute one. I come down on the side of wisdom. I come down on the side of wisdom. You know what I'm saying? So again, my prayer. You know the game. Shout out to Ruggers. Ruggers been going live, dropping videos. Y'all make sure y'all subscribe to Ruggers, the Bill Monger, man. And he got some heat over there. I'm so glad you dropped your music on your channel, bro, so everybody could hear that talent that you got, bro, that I've been displaying over here on the Perfect Timing Podcast. You heard it here first. Now you can go subscribe to get it from the source, baby. Hey! But yeah, man, there's a debate actually within the manosphere. And some could say it's a fraction. There's a splintering, and there. You could even say that I've even attacked these individuals, and I've accosted these individuals, and I've labeled these individuals Judas. At Easter Sunday, you can go back and watch one of my most popular videos. I took the opportunity on Easter Sunday to talk about Judas within the manosphere and Black Uru. Thank you, Black Uru, man, because Black Uru and Judge came in after I said this. I don't know if they heard my podcast, but they affirmed my assumption that there are individuals who are seeking to subvert the message and the purpose of the manosphere. Now, after Easter Sunday is when Angry Man made the 4.0 video that really shook up the version of the manosphere, which led to me creating 5.0. And the theme song that you heard, please rewind and watch the beginning of the podcast. Make sure you subscribe and hit the bell so you can get the theme song and you get the vibe and the intro music, so you can get the vibe and the feel of the show. And you can hear what the topic is, so you can join the conversation and speak intelligently on the topic. So there's definitely a divide. There's definitely a fraction. So I took this opportunity today when the conversation became about blind spots, and then the conversation seemed to drift into whether or not a blind spot is appropriate and whether or not a blind spot can be cold or callous. And I had to say that this is an issue with this game shit, because it's about maturity. And what I've said about the manosphere space is that individual, even last night, asked, why haven't we started the business portion? Why haven't we started the networking? I said we had to mature. We had to matriculate. The space is growing and maturing. Unfortunately, what's happened so fast, it's grown so fast, like a child, like we had our adolescent teenage stage, and then people we like LeBron. We they got that King Kong syndrome. So they see an adolescent, FBA indigenous, and they see a man who's not yet fully grown. So the space is growing, but they think that the space is fully grown. The space is not fully grown, but they see an opportunity to capitalize off of this space now. So what you see happening is you see people outside the space able to make money off of it. So we have to be careful who has the message. And I've said that these game purveyors, these pimp slayers and purveyors are subverting the message of the manosphere, which is men elevating men, focusing inward, and creating this brotherhood. You create the brotherhood by making stronger men. You make stronger men by focusing on you. But this game is that's why I played that Eco Mouse. Eco Mouse said, why would the wise man build his house on the sand? He said, the foolish man built his house on the sand. On the sand, there's no foundation, and his house gets washed away. A wise man builds his house on the rock. But I want to preface the fact that a foolish man has a lot to do with being young and dumb. So I said game versus wisdom. And I talked about, before I closed, about having bad experiences in life and getting scrapes and bruises, and that giving you the game and the lessons. that providing you the wisdom to be able to have discernment and be able to develop a blind spot. If you read the description, I put a lot of work into my description, into my videos. In my description, you could also find my other social media channels and my backup channel, Perfect Timing Podcast Live. Make sure you subscribe to both channels. This right now, you rock it with me. I'm live on both channels as we speak, so you can actually watch me on both channels. I'm actually live on Facebook under Patrick Potter. So I got my Facebook, Patrick Potter. I got my Twitter popping. I got my Instagram popping. On my Instagram, you can see my farm, my beautiful zucchini squash. The farm is looking crazy. I went and borrowed some hay from my good Morris partner. He got a Hebrew farm, and they got a bunch of bales of hay. And in the hay, he put the hay down, his farm going crazy. So he said, Perfect, come get some hay. I went over there, got a bale of hay, and now my farm, and I haven't went live on IG, so I owe you guys an Instagram live to show you an update, but the zucchinis is looking crazy. I got hay all over the garden. Everything is looking just so beautiful. I'm so blessed. Since we're talking about God and God's great blessings, let's go ahead and bless the mic. God, thank you for this podcast. Thank you for this mic. Let this podcast and this message be a blessing unto my audience. I pray that you divinely inspire the message and that everybody hears that message is effective and is blessed by the message. And I pray that you use me as an instrument to get your message out. Thank you for all your blessings. Amen. Thank y'all for tuning in, baby. So this is also part of that same conversation that the Soul Shader had with Kev when he interviewed Kev, and he asked Kev, what is the benefit of the manosphere? What credit is the manosphere? And I love the way Irv had difficulty and Roger had to clarify what he meant by blind spot, and that it's developing a callus and it's developing a stripe. It's like a tiger with a stripe. It's not a bad thing. But if you attribute it to game, then you can get convoluted and bogged down in the BS. But if you understand that what we're trying to do is develop a callus, develop a stripe, develop a defense mechanism, right? This blind spot is a defense mechanism, and I've said in my description that this is key in the skill set in relationship building. Being able to discern unhealthy people, being able to develop this blind spot, and because you want to be able to build healthy relationships. See, no one ever tells you part of building a healthy relationship is knowing when not to build a relationship with an unhealthy person. And that's one of the things that my brother been trying to get across, is knowing when to break up with a broad. So part of the blind spot, part of the wisdom, part of the discernment is knowing how and when to build that healthy relationship. That's the whole message. It's not about people dying and freezing. It's about being able to be that cold. It's about being able to be that calculating, but it's about success. It's a message of success. It's a message of love. And you will not be successful. You will not know love if you seek to build your house on the sand. You will not know success. You will not know love if you do not be wise and build your house on the rock, on solid foundation. Shout out to A.L. Evans. Because A.L., man, when you said that foundation bar, when you came with that made me go right to Ecomouse. I put it in the chat, and I knew that I was going to do a live stream, and I was going to bump that Ecomouse because my big cousin, rest in peace, DOD, he laced me up, man, from San Quentin, and he used to love that Ecomouse. He would go see Ecomouse live. Ecomouse would come to San Francisco, and he would bump that shit 8 minutes. He would play the 11-minute version over and over, and he was like, D, you got to get this in your head. Why would the wise man build his house? And I didn't understand the first time, like, why he liked this song. And it was about wisdom. And he wanted me to understand that the game that these guys is talking about is BS. And life is about lessons learned. And when Rael said about the bad things, it's about that hurt that I went through with that divorce. It's like having a death. And I said I created the Perfect Timing podcast to discuss the undiscussable and to help brothers like Irv, to help them mitigate pain. And my prayer is that you hear my testimony and you don't go through that pain, that you hear my mistakes, that you hear the fact that I did not have the ability to have a blind spot, and I tried to form a relationship with an unhealthy person. And I had game. Let me tell you, I just had lunch with my wife, right? I'm opening up the panel after this anecdote. I just had lunch with my wife. I said, I'm glad I had this conversation. She said, what's your topic going to be? And I told her it's about game versus wisdom. And she said, ooh, I like that. And I said, I come down on the side of wisdom because she said she started to go in about game because my wife is real hip. And I said, it ain't about game. I said, how many? I said, do y'all remember Jerome's in the house? I said, Jerome's in the house. I said, Jerome's in the house at your mouth. Y'all remember Jerome? So it's a lot of Jerome cats on YouTube that got all the game, that know every pickup line, that is so smooth. But you know what they lack? You know what I told my wife, and her eyes got real big? I said, you got a lot of Jerome players, but Jerome didn't have no pussy. Jerome didn't have no bitches. Jerome didn't have no hoes, because you know why? And she looking, she waiting for me to drop that lug, right? I said, he didn't have application. I said, game don't have shit to do with ability. The wisdom is the application of game. It's a lot of Jeromes. It's a lot of Jeromes in the house with game that can talk a cat off a fish wagon, that can sell ice to an Eskimo. That you hear this cat in the club and say, what did he say to the bitch? I need to get that in my repertoire. His vernacular is spectacular, but he don't have shit to his name. But he got a hell of a game. Lacking in application and discipline and diligence and discernment. You worried about your appearance. You effeminate at most. That player picture is effeminate at best. And men are about building and destroying. It's about application of that knowledge. And it's a huge disconnect, because it's not simple to simply, as a teacher, as developing a curriculum, it's one thing to have the knowledge. It's another thing to impart that knowledge on another person to the point where that person is able to apply that knowledge effectively. I'm not only teaching you how to do math, 1 + 1 is 2. But when I'm done teaching you, you are effectively able to go handle complex transactions. You're able to apply the knowledge, apply science. There's no game in that. That's hard work. It takes wisdom. It takes knowledge. And anyone telling you that it's game and slick talk is misleading you. I want success for you in life and in love. You develop these blind spots as a way to eliminate in an equation. What do you do in the equation when you have to balance the equation? You cancel out. That's all there was the explanation today. In the effort to equalize, in the effort to balance the equation, some factors will get canceled. But there's a goal. Mathematics is a golden ratio. It's like Lion King. It's a circle of life. It's a beautiful mathematics. But in that is a cancellation, in that balancing. In that growth, in that maturity, as I grow my garden, some petals will fall. Some petals will die off. To me, as the purveyor of the garden, it breaks my heart. Every petal that doesn't become a flower, that doesn't become a zucchini, I'm thinking, I didn't water it right. I didn't feed it right. But it's part of the maturation. It's part of the growth. The plant has to develop wisdom and resilience. You ever heard of that? I grow Jamaican peppers too. And you want the plant to be resilient so the bud is strong and tight. So when you smoke it, it has that good, you know what I'm saying? So the plant has to learn also. The plant is alive just like you're alive. The plant don't need game. The plant needs wisdom. So the plant has to go through a life cycle. And then it downloads in its DNA how to deal with the cold, how to deal with the wind, and it becomes resilient. And that's when you know you got a good plant that can yield fruit yearly. I want you to be able to yield fruit yearly. That's the goal. And you know what happens sometime in the garden? Sometime I got to prune. Right? So what we were saying is sometimes things got to be pruned. Some petals got to be pruned. Baby girl might be one of those leaves that get pruned in the effort for you to grow a strong, stalk, resilient plant. That is your life. It's a success story. It's a love story. It's the greatest love story ever told. Game recognized game in the bay, man. Hit the sack, all the physics. Hit it, kick the facts for your players. About to lace your game tight, so pull up your chairs. And don't trip off the wannabes you're gonna see, cause I'ma have it going on like the 15 strap with the front, with the blunt, and the dot with your paper. Dose with a touch so you can taper. Another dose of player. Come on, man. It sound good. To have a good time, hippity boppity boop, to have a good time. And I'm from the Bay, it sound good to have a good time. But I want success. For me, myself, I'm talking to myself. My prayers and my testimony provides a soft landing, a direction. Because you got a choice to make. I wanna hear this game. I want to hear this game, or I want to benefit from the wisdom of the elders. I want to hear this game. I want to hear this. I want this candy, right? I want this eargasm. Oh, it's so sweet. The melody is so sweet and so soft to my ear. Huh? You looking unfamiliar. I want that. But the elder got this good wisdom. But you got to sit at the elder feet. You got to sit at the elder feet. The thing about game, when I was having to talk with my wife, is the game, folks, it's the game people feel like they got all the knowledge. And game is akin to like being, I said, young and dumb. You know that young and dumb, like I got all the game. Remember that? You ain't got no game. I got all, it's a young man about to go through some of the hardest trials and tribulations of his life. But before he got into that problem with Smokey, what he said to his father is, I got all the game. You got all the game, but in 5 minutes, young man, your life is gonna be you're gonna put yourself in a position to where you could die. But I'm giving you a lesson before I go to work. I'm calling you in while I'm taking this shit, while I'm eating my breakfast. I'm giving you a life lesson. I'm giving you wisdom. Craig didn't want to hear the wisdom. Who thinks, give me a 1 in the chat if you think Craig listened to the wisdom. Put a 1 in the chat if you think Craig had to go through pain. Put a 1 in the chat if you think he listened to the wisdom. Put a 2 in the chat if you think Craig had to go through that pain. That Craig benefited from game, or did Craig benefit from the wisdom from his father? And when he came down to that fight with Debo, what happened? The movie showed you he thought about that wisdom that his father imparted upon him. He thought about that wisdom that his father imparted upon him about his uncle. He said, your uncle picked up a gun. He said, you fight. You win, you lose, but you live to fight another day. He imparted wisdom upon his son from his life and a mistake from his brother. A life lesson. Son, you don't have to make, that's what Rael was saying. You don't have to make this mistake. Out of love. That's the biggest love language. A motherfucker like Rael, my father won't even speak to you if I'm speaking to you, I love you. And if I take the time out to share an antidote from my brother that I lost, goddamn, I care about you, boy. And I raised you well enough to have proper discernment. And when he came down to it, he remembered that lesson. It wasn't about the game and Big Perm and all that stupid shit, Smokey. Smokey had game. Smokey knew how to roll a joint. Smokey knew how to wear his khakis. Smokey knew how to say the coolest names. Hey, how to sell weed. Smokey had game. To the young people listening right now, some young man listening say, oh man, perfect timing coming with that shit again. You know I am. You know I am. Smokey had game. Did Smokey have game? Smokey had game. Smokey knew a lot and everything about the hood, right? Oh, that's Hector. You know, I was kicking it with Hector. You got all of this game about the hood, Smokey. What? Why are you not successful? Pookie? All of this game. He lacked what? Application, discipline, discernment, diligence. Why would you get into it with Big Worm? But also Craig lacked proper wisdom. Craig lacked proper discernment. He should have had a blind spot for Smokey. Nipsey Hussle should have had a blind spot for them cats. Shout out to my birthday twin, rest in peace. If he would have been able to be so-called cold or calculating the lesson we were trying to give our brother today with Smokey, Craig wouldn't have found himself in a situation where he had to pull out a gun and then get into a shootout with another black man. That epitomizes the blind spot today. That epitomizes the whole conversation. And I didn't even mean to go there. Thank you, God. I didn't even mean to go there. I tell you, boy, when you pray, people don't be, I pray over my microphone. I pray over this podcast. I pray over this message. I pray God divinely inspires the message. And I had a message I wanted to share with you, but I didn't know I was going to go there with that anecdote from Friday. But it really crystallizes the point, don't it? Because it comes from the conversation with my wife. I'm going to have her come back and listen to this podcast. It really crystallizes the point. Smokey got game. Next time somebody in the manosphere talk that game shit, put in the chat, hashtag Smokey had game. And is you a Smokey type nigga? Huh? What you want to be? Are you a heat cool nigga in the hood? Are you a person that people could come to? Are you Craig? Are you someone that they could rely on if they need help, if they need assistance, if they need money or something fixed? Are you the Smokey type of nigga that everybody know you play all day long, taking the shit outside? That's game goofy. Game goofy, if you ask me. That was game. Smokey had a lot of game, but he lacked application. He lacked wisdom. He was actually dumb in most aspects. Damn goofy and damn dumb. Come on now in the chat, man. Damn goofy and damn dumb. But he had game. So the choice is yours, young brothers. Game or wisdom. If Craig had the wisdom that his father imparted on him that morning to not fuck with that pookie ass nigga, he would not have been in the sling. He would not have been in a position where his life was on the line. This is a perfect example of the blind spot. This is a perfect example of how and when to apply wisdom and to use the blind spot logic, the blind spot kung fu. Won't we be coming with some shit on the cool table? I don't know nobody doing stuff like this. I mean, somebody said no action items. Somebody said nobody getting her help. Somebody said we not doing nothing. We not doing nothing. We not doing nothing. Ain't no action items. Ain't no, you hear this analogy God just imparted upon my audience, and it's going to replay and reverberate around the atmosphere. I know I'm going to hear somebody else use this analogy. God is good, man. God is good, man, all the time. All the time. Ain't no solutions. Ain't no solutions. I'm breaking it down, game versus wisdom. I'm taking it apart to the very last compound to where young man, you won't be able to impart that bullshit on my son if he come to this space, because other people gonna pick up this ball. And these young men gonna know the difference. And these young men gonna be like, I don't wanna be Smokey. I don't wanna be Smokey. You talking all that shit, all that game shit. What application? Show me in your life, 50-year-old pimp nigga. Show me in your life. Show me your fruit. Don't tell me to have game. Give me the lessons of your life. Give me wisdom. Impart upon me knowledge so that I don't make the same mistakes that you've made. I don't want game. Don't game me. Don't game me so I send you a super chat. Don't game me so I send you a cash app. How does that provide success for me in my future? Give me a strong foundation. Woo! Give me a strong foundation. Take heed, my brother. Why would you waste their time with game? I feel like it's a waste of time. When you reach 50 years old as a black man, I feel like it's a badge of honor and a blessing. And you baby boomers is letting me down, man. You reach 50 years old and you got these old antiquated coon crab in the barrel ass tactics, man. You want to act like you always had money. You want to act like you always been in a good place. That's not true. It's not true for black men your age, period. Because just like the manosphere has grown and matured, black men have had to grow and mature in this country because of the oppression. Share those testimonies. Share that wisdom. Don't share game with my son. He could get that from a cartoon. He can get that from Smokey. If you're going to be on here and impart knowledge, share your wins and your losses. What Rael got to say? You know Rael come with some love. Let's read Rael's comment. Sister Ray came back at Roger's channel today talking that BS after getting aired out by me and BGS weeks back over dumb game shit. Oh my God. He couldn't even define what game is, but claim he has game. That's a perfect example. I remember that. You can't even define what game is, but see God, because see, you don't got God leading your life. But if you had God and you had prayer in your life, then God would have imparted upon you what God imparted upon me today. And God gave the cool table an excellent definition and analogy of what game is. Smokey is game. For those individuals, see, those individuals lack a blind spot, lack wisdom. That Sister Ray, it's a lack of intelligence, So they couldn't define game because you're lost in the game, lost in the sauce. But through prayer, God imparted upon me a definition of the game and an analogy for those people who can't understand my definition and my interpretation. Smokey had game, Sister Ray. Smokey knew how to sell weed, bag the weed, smoke weed, roll a joint, how to crease his khakis, who Hector was. Smokey knew ins and outs of the neighborhood. Craig is looking at Smokey like, you know all this shit. But in debt, about to get murdered, no car, no riding around in a Pinto. That's game, Sister George. A lack of application. You couldn't explain it. I can explain it. Game is a knowledge without application. Talking loud without saying nothing. That's game. Don't give that to my son. You just want to hear yourself talk. That's game. Them niggas that just want to hear themselves talk, sound smart, sound slick. You're talking loud and you ain't saying nothing. But what Pops had, Pops had wisdom. Pops had wisdom, and he sought to impart that wisdom upon his son before he left for work. I would say that he must have felt something. He must have felt something. And that knowledge that he imparted upon his son saved his son's life.
You taking her to Red Lobster with the cheddar biscuits.
Oh, shit.
The fam ain't eating cheddar biscuits, but this random broad is eating cheddar biscuits.
God damn.
I know the game. Your granddaddy knows the game.
Game recognized game, Granddad.
I recognize game. Your granddaddy recognized game.
Game recognized game, and you looking kind of unfamiliar right now. I can't. Where's Granddad? Can I help you, sir?
I ain't got time to mess around with y'all. I
Don't do it,
Granddad.
Don't feed her.
Don't feed her.
Don't
No.
feed her.
Don't try to pull me back.
I don't see what the big deal is with that.
We'll see what the big deal is. Can't recognize game, Granddad, and you looking unfamiliar. Where's Granddad? Hey, sir, can I help you? Granddad, Pops was trying to impart knowledge upon his son. Wisdom. Salute, Ryle. Which book did you read on Roger Channel about the effect on the mother to the daughter self-esteem? Oh, I think I bought that book, bro. Rael, if you don't mind, I truly do not mind if you put that link in the chat. Everybody, man, put a 1 in the chat if you want Rael to create that Manosphere 5.0 book list with them affiliate links so my brother can get his dough and everybody can get that help. We doing both. And the same dude who said there ain't no solutions said there's something wrong with us getting money and putting out a message at the same time. YouTube was created to make money. Television was created to sell products. Television was created. The whole thing around the television was the game show. The game show was to actually sell those products. You're bidding on products. It's actually a commercial for those products. The whole premise around it is that we're selling products. In between the selling and the marketing of the products, you have an opportunity to speak to this large audience. And you can use this few seconds to get out a message. That was the design. But somehow, black men don't get the benefit from the design of television, the design of radio, the design of YouTube. YouTube gets to make money. The owners of YouTube get to sell YouTube for $5 billion after creating it off for $30,000. Facebook gets to monetize. Instagram gets to monetize and make money. But black male heterosexual creators in these spaces who seek to create content that is beneficial to their audience should not seek to get monetary gain. I have a problem with that. So I should put in my long effort, my wisdom, my God-given talents as every other creator in these platforms, and they get compensated. But because I am this blue pill saint, I'm going to turn down the money. That's what we going to do. That's what we do it. Shh. Okay, Rael, just book drop everybody. Book drop everybody. Book drop everybody. Thank you, brother. Book drop, so everybody go get that link, man. And Rael, man, yeah, Rogan's got that 1 in the chat. We need that book list, brother, 5.0 book list. Let me go back to my theme song, man, because everybody seemed to like the theme song. When I check my analytics, man, people watch more with the theme song. Let me go back to my theme music, man. Hey, 5.0 in the building. Let's go. 5.0 is them brothers that got it locked. 5.0 is them brothers that got it locked. Let's go. 5.0 is a race to the top. T.O.P. 5.0 is them brothers that won't stop. Get free. 5.0 is a race to the top. T.O.P. 5.0 is them brothers that got it locked. Get free. 5.0 is them brothers that won't stop. 5.0 got the bitches up on the job. 5.0 is a race to the top. T.O.P. 5.0 is them brothers that got it locked. Get free. 5.0 is them brothers that won't stop. 5.0 got the bitches up on our job. 5.0 is a race to the top. T.O.P. 5.0 is them brothers that got it locked. Get free. 5.0 is them brothers that won't stop. 5.0 got the bitches up on our job. 5.0 is them brothers that won't stop. 5.0 is a race to the top. T.O.P. 5.0 is the brothers that got it locked. 5.0 got the bitches up on our job. 5.0 is a race to the top. T.O.P. 5.0 is the brothers that got it locked. Get free. 5.0 is the brothers that won't stop. 5.0 got the bitches up on the job. Woo! Every black superhero needs his own theme music. Let's go! Perfect Timing Podcast. And yes, I got my own theme music. And shout out to my brother Rogus, who in the chat. Rogus, drop your link one time. Rogus got some heat over here. He's dropping shit like a motherfucking pigeon, man. So get over here to Rogus, the Bill Manga. Check out that heat he dropping over there, man. Yeah, man, inspired me to do my song. Rogus, y'all didn't know, man, is an MC, man, a jack of all trades, man. Vernacular is spectacular, baby. So get over there and subscribe to Rogus, the Bill Monger, and check out that heat he just dropped, man. Fire hip-hop. Conscious has not died, man. Real lyricism, real bars is not gone. And we got it here in the 5.0 manosphere for my brother. My brother. Shout out my brother. Yes, man. Yeah, man. So I'm gonna put the link one more time in the chat, man. Anybody want to come up and join, man? Y'all want to add to the conversation? It was a heated topic earlier, so I had to go live. I figured people might want to continue to talk. Shout out to Officer Faulkner. 1, 2, 3. Whoa. DJ Black and Blue, DJ Friendly, DJ Officer Friendly, he went into the mix. He said, I'm not going to do much talking. I'm going to just do some bullshitting and playing some music. And I was like, yeah, man, go over there and have a good time on the Officer Faulkner channel. And after you get done doing the boogaloo, the Watusi, and shaking your booty, come on over to the Perfect Timing Podcast, man, and continue the conversation, man. I got a question for you, man. And the question is, man, game versus wisdom. But it actually was clickbait. Because if you actually had any wisdom or game, then you would know there is no question. But Rael brought up a great point about the clown who came on the panel who couldn't even define game. And I want to give a shout out to God again, because God blessed the podcast and blessed us with an effective message and gave us the analogy of Craig and Day-Day. Craig and Day-Day and Craig and Smokey. And we said Smokey is the epitome of a motherfucker with game. And motherfuckers on YouTube is a lot of Smokey type cats. It's a lot of Smokey ass niggas, man. A lot of in the way. I call them in the way ass niggas. You know what I'm saying? In my eyes, Smokey was an in the way ass nigga, not contributing to the hood in no form or fashion. You know what I'm saying? This nigga literally in the way of the kids trying to get their ice cream, in the way of the dope fiend trying to get high. Nigga, you literally in the way, nigga. Big Worm was gonna do the hood a favor with this game purveying ass nigga with lack of application. So Smokey gives us a real example of an individual without the ability to have a blind spot, who just moving carefree like a feminine male through the world with no blind spot, with no ability to apply a blind spot, no wisdom, no discernment. And look where it will get you. I know you never maybe looked at the movie like that. As a definition, as a split between these two ideologies between black men, but it most definitely was that. Oh, I love this part. Y'all hear that? It's a vibe, y'all. Perfect Timing Podcast Radio. It's a vibe, y'all. It's a vibe. Man, it's a real thing. No action items, no solutions. You're not listening, brother. Where your antennas at? That's what I said to my wife the other day. No action items, no solutions. Where your antennas at? Where your antennas at? It's nothing but solutions and action items. It's nothing but blessings. My baby had to say. 5.0, 5.0, 5.0, let's go. That's my other theme music, baby. Should I do my other theme song? That's that little brother. My other theme music is that little brother. Oh, we got Rael in the building. What's up, my good brother? Thank you for that book drop, sir. What you got to impart on the peoples?
Peace. Give me 1 quick second.
Take your time, man. Take your time, man. Wipe your ass and wash your hands, man. Rael always be coming to us from the bathroom. This weightlifting ass niggas be eating all these shakes and shit. They always be in the bathroom and shit. You know what I'm saying? Motherfuckers don't want to hear you from the toilet bowl all the time. Rael got the Toilet Bowl Podcast. Shout out to my brother Rael with the Toilet Bowl Podcast. Put some water on that shit, man. Put some water on that shit, man. Put some water on that shit, man. Woo! Private Time Podcast Radio in the building. Game versus wisdom. What we doing, ladies and gentlemen? Do you got game? Do you have wisdom? Where would you build your house? On the sand or on the rock? Ekamau said the wise man built his house on the rock. The foolish man built his house on the sand. Let's go! Hey, Ekamau, man. Ekamau in the house. So yeah, man, we talking about game versus wisdom. God blessed us with a beautiful analogy. So we truly are crystallized. Smokey is the walking version of game. Someone who knows how to talk slick and all this shit, but is still lacking success in their life because they don't know how to apply the proper blind spot. It's a harsh thing, right? Especially for someone who's a Smokey right now. There's Smokies listening right now. This is fucking them up. This is fucking them up because they got game and they wondering why they haven't been successful. Because they listen to these pimp purveyors, these PUA slayers, and they wondering why it hasn't yielded fruit. But you have yet to develop resilience. You know, I got a grapevine in the backyard. When I got the house, the owners of the house said no grapes grow on this grapevine. But my grandmother had a grapevine. We grew up. My grandmother, my family owned property in Mississippi before we owned property in California. So my grandmother knew how to cultivate grapes. So I knew what to do to make this grapevine produce fruit. You know what you got to do? You back, Rael? You know what you got to do? You have to stress out the plant. Do you know why some plants you find grapevines woven around trellises? The plant needs to be stressed in order for it to become resilient enough to produce the fruit. And sometimes the more stress you put upon. If you've ever heard some famous French people who produce wine in France, they talk about very expensive rare wine and how little water they apply and how much stress they apply to the plant in order to get grapes with a certain flavor profile. That's what we're talking about. That's not game. These stripes that we develop in the hood, these scars, these bars, that's not game. Why would you lie to my son and make him a Smokey? I want him to be a resilient plant that bears fruit, yearly yield. So now, when people come over, they like, wow, look at all those grapes I made. I made jam last year. I gave away grapes to my partner, newborn son, loved grapes. He came and got them because he don't eat meat. He look for organic. And the fact that I had something that his son loved, and you can't get more organic than that. How more organic than you get than grapes grown by his brother in his backyard? That's God and works, man. And this is another example of wisdom versus game. That grapevine, it had the game, but it did not produce fruit. Oh, God is working. I tell you, boy, I be coming with him, boy. I be coming with him, boy. Shout out G.O.D. He be blessing me with this good game. He be blessing me, boy. I'm telling you that grapevine had game. What do you mean, Perfect? That grapevine had the DNA of a grapevine. Y'all don't hear what I'm saying? Y'all don't hear what I'm saying? The grapevine had the DNA. It had the knowledge. It knew it was a grapevine, but yet it was not producing fruit. It was not producing grapes. In order for that grapevine to become its best, in order for that grapevine to actually produce fruit, it had to be stressed. Long suffering is what we talked about the other day. I had to stress the grapevine to build resilience, and that's what made it produce the fruit. Where you at, Rael?
I'm here.
Chime in, brother.
Peace.
Peace.
Perfect piece of
Peace, bro.
chat. You know, we are in a time of very serious awakening. You know, we're out of that time of belief, and we're in the age of knowing. And you know, they say the truth shall set you free, but they also say ignorance is bliss too.
Right.
So
That's smoke.
But there are two stories that I want to really touch on from the Bible, actually, that I really think that really hit to the heart of a lot of things that we're dealing with, because we have to really understand how impactful family really is. Family is where we first learn our concept of money, politics, love, hate, all types of things we learn first through our family structure. And I want to first start with the story of King David. I think this is a very powerful story because it talks about how when your greatness is seen, even in others, sometimes your own family can't even see it. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's sometimes your destiny is great to the point that you have to come up out of that family and execute. When he was chosen to be one of the people who went against the Philistines, I think it was, he was the youngest, and he was considered really nothing. And the firstborn son, Eliab, had looked at him with contempt. He was passed over for the kingship earlier. Obviously, people know the story. He slayed Goliath and ultimately was made king over the Israelite tribe. But he was underappreciated. You know, he was, neglected. He was underestimated. There are people who obviously feel like that, when it comes to, relatives. You might think that you're supposed to get a certain type of treatment from them that you think you earned, and you don't get that. But he was the least likely of the people in his family that people thought would be the one to rise up the way he did. But he had so much favor with God. God loved David. And, sometimes people think that the favor that they're supposed to receive is coming from, their blood, but there's a saying that a prophet is not respected in his own home. And that's just part of the journey. Like you have to be, you know, you have to be aware that that's, you know, that's just a part of it. Like you're supposed to ultimately grow your own family tree. That's the beauty of family. Like you can have the most dysfunctional family you come from, but I always say you might not have a choice in what kind of family you're born into, but you do have a choice over the kind of family you want to be a part of. That's power. That's true power. You can leave, you know, your family. People do it every day from other countries. They leave their home, whether it's from India or Mexico or wherever, and they
Like
come to
talked about this before with white men. Look at Trump. I talked about this before with Trump with Ivanka. Ivanka's on the end right now, but remember Ivanka was on the outs. He really said fuck that bitch. Like it really said fuck that bitch when she chose the mama, and the mama was trying to sue him after being bankrupt. He trying to climb back. Them bitches was on the outs. She would not have been in the White House, and she had to capitulate. She had to capitulate before she got, and she capitulated to get on that TV show. She had to capitulate to be in that boardroom, and when she did, she was able to be on the boardroom and get her fucking role. Like, bitch, who you thought you was? You go over there, your last name not Trump. You don't get the power. What Roger says every day, the benefits of this last name, bitch, unless you under my provision and you have to submit to me, and then you in the boardroom and the White House as a Trump. But you want to go be with your mama, and she did them interviews. Remember in that movie? I don't know if you or somebody else brought up that movie about them rich kids in New York, but I saw that.
That was me. That was me.
I saw that documentary too. And in that documentary is when she told her asshole. She told her ass because she talked shit about her dad. At that time, she was in the ends with her mother, and her mother had a book out, and she was suing her father. And the mom, and she even testified against her dad. She went full-fledged against her dad with that feminism bullshit. People forget this shit. And she had to apologize publicly. And she said, I'm sorry, before Donald Trump let her back in and let her on The Apprentice. But when he let her back in, she went directly to the T.O. fucking P. Top of the mountain, you no good bitch. If you with me, you with me. And I'm Trump. And Roger, that's all we trying to instill every day. Be Trump. Be the son. Be an arrogant asshole. Get behind me, bitch. I don't give a fuck, bitch. I married you, you prostitute from Russia. He said, bitch, get behind thee. And every moment in time when you seen Trump, he was masculine. And foreign dignitaries, with his wife, with everybody. And what pains me so much is when my brother tries to impart that wisdom upon people, we act like we can't understand. Like even you had to help me step into that space. Nah, go by perfect. I was afraid. I don't want nobody to put a target on my back. But what did you just say? It's inevitable. People gonna do it anyway. D, it's like, so you gotta step into it and own it. And thanks to you guys and my brothers and the love of y'all, I stepped into it. I don't give a fuck if motherfuckers hate now, put a target on my back. I had a target on my back always. God gonna continue to bless this voice and raise it up. If you gonna hate, you gonna hate. But you can't stop me. I've never been stopped now. If you think you can stop me, you gonna get your feelings hurt. I mean, black man, we don't even think. Why would you come up against me? I'm twice your age, most of you. Why would you think I'm gonna lose now? God gonna let me down now? It's not gonna happen. That's not wise. I just can't see. I can't see the benefit of the game. I can't see the benefit of knowledge without application. So I would say to you, developing in a blind spot is simply the application. Irv, our beautiful brother, is a brother with a lot of knowledge and a lot of game, and I've been there where he's almost afraid to put his foot down, like that lion in the jungle, and we just helping him and waiting for him to realize he got big balls and put that foot down, and be cold. Show the blind spot, not to your mama, Irv, to everybody. Break free. It ain't cold How can it be cold? How can loving yourself? This is what the trick is with blue pill and with black men. Cold for us is loving yourself. All Roger's saying cool table politics is putting you above everything else. I define what selfish is. I got to get that book. Selfish has a negative connotation, but not a negative definition. It's a positive definition. Selfishness reads you using all your God-given talents and abilities towards your goals and desires. Crickets, as I say it, is anything negative? It sounds logical. Perfect. You saying everything God gave me, whether I'm tall, fast, intelligent with math, I apply that to whatever goal? Yes. Wholeheartedly, 100%. That's what being selfish is. There's nothing negative about that, but it has a negative connotation in our community. Because Big Mama said you got to give some of those God-given talents and spread them around to people who have game and don't have application. So I have to apply for them. And that's what Craig did. And Craig found himself in a sling that was not fitted for him. Being a blue pill. Being a good brother. B1, pro-black. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, the other story was about Joseph. Let me just read a little bit about this. Joseph was one of Jacob's 12 sons. His father loved him more than any of the others and gave him a colored cloak. His brothers were jealous of him and sold him into slavery. So his own family sold him into slavery. He was taken to Egypt and eventually became steward to Potiphar, one of Pharaoh's officials. Potiphar's wife tried unsuccessfully to seduce him. And after false accusations were leveled at Joseph, he was in prison. Due to his ability to interpret Pharaoh's dreams, he was made governor of Egypt. He wisely rationed the country's produce in preparation for a time of famine. During the famine, Jacob's sons, which was his siblings, came to Egypt to plead with Joseph for supplies. They did not recognize him, but after he was satisfied that they were reformed, he identified himself with great joy. So ultimately, the very people who sold him into slavery, which people would have looked at as, man, he in slavery. But it actually afforded him the opportunity to be in a position for when they actually needed his help. He was in a position to help the very people who sold him into slavery. That's many of us, our experiences is that the very rejection that we get is the very rejection you need to go on your journey. So you can put yourself in a position to where if you can actually literally help people, not enable people to keep doing the dumb shit that they've been doing, but to actually help, you're in a position to do so because you actually went on your life journey. You went on your life quest. And so, thankfully, me personally, I'm thankful that, I live in a place where I'm not held back by the failure of previous family members. We don't have to go to a debtor's prison because our parents were in debt. Our dad was in debt. So, we have to keep these types of things in mind, that the very thing that we try to run from, is the very thing that actually gets us going in that particular journey, like for where we're supposed to develop our true self. I recommended a book, I put it in the chat. It's called The Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents, How to Heal from Distant, Rejecting, or Self-Involved Parents. There's this particular chapter that I want to read, if that's okay. Perfect.
Go ahead, bro. And the link is on the screen, everybody. I've purchased this book, great book. Me and my wife do lessons with this book. Please. This
chapter, this particular section in the chapter is called Breaking Down in Order to Wake Up. Now, You really need to listen to this. It's not that long. It says people experience a breakdown when the pain of living in roles, cells, and healing fantasies begin to outweigh any potential benefits. Most psychological growth exposes some distressing truths about what we've been doing with our lives. Psychotherapy and the like are aids to help us become aware of truths we already know in our bones. When you're going through a breakdown, a good question to ask is what is actually breaking down? We usually think it's ourselves, but what's typically happening is that our struggle to deny our emotional truth is breaking down. Emotional distress is a signal that it's getting harder to remain emotionally unconscious. It means we're about to discover our true selves underneath all that story business. Your true self wants you to see what's really going on. It tries to wake you up because it wants you to stop believing that your emotionally immature parents knew what was best for you and that creating a role self is better than being who you really are. It knows better than to let a fantasy run your life. So it's saying that parents don't have all the answers, which is what I was saying earlier on Roger's channel. Developmental psychologist Jean Piaget observed that in order for people to learn anything new, their old mental pattern must break up and rework itself around the new incoming knowledge. Basically a radical shift. This process of internal breakdown and accommodation is key to continuing intellectual development. Likewise, Polish psychiatrist Kazimierz Dabrowski theorized that emotional distress is potentially a sign of growth, not necessarily illness. He saw psychological symptoms as coming from a freshly activated urge to grow and coined the term positive disintegration to describe times when people break down inside in order to reorganize into more emotionally complex beings. Dabrowski noticed that some people were able to expand their personalities as a result of these upheavals, while others soon slipped back to where they'd been before. He observed that psychologically unaware people weren't likely to change much after an emotional upheaval. Other people, however, seem to take periods of distress as opportunities to learn about themselves.
Wait. Because we was talking to Irv. Can you say that part again? Because I heard Pastor $40. Pastor $40, if you listening, reason psychologically, what it was that unintelligent people will not benefit from and I've been that person. Can you read that again? Because I think that's sometimes you get frustrated with Irv, and I think that's what Irv is right now. Because he's sometimes he's able to grow, but he's growing slowly. But I think that will help him and people like that. Because I've been there before. Can you read that part again? You be going fast over these, man. I don't know if the audience is really catching it, man.
He observed that psychologically unaware people weren't likely to change much after an emotional upheaval. Other people, however, seem to take periods of distress as opportunities to learn about themselves, meeting challenging emotional conditions with curiosity and a desire to learn from them. Dabrowski felt that these people had a developmental potential that pushed them toward becoming more competent and autonomous. Dabrowski believed that individuals who can tolerate negative emotions tend to have the highest developmental potential and saw negative emotions as the driving force behind much of human psychological development, since the discomfort these feelings cause can motivate ambitious people to find solutions. Come on.
He said it.
Come on.
Feelings, emotions, negative emotions, 90%. I got that book that's so powerful, and it's breaking down all of our issues with our lack of brotherhood, calling us basically feminine. Our emotions are driving 90% of this shit.
All these people for years have been saying, y'all are being so negative. Y'all are being so negative. Y'all are being so negative. And the psychologists are saying It's that negativity that if people can tolerate the negative emotions, they have the highest developmental potential to be their true self, and saw the negative emotion as a driving force behind much of human psychological development. Now, he goes on to say, instead of shutting down or getting defensive when faced with difficult experiences, because this is what these people do, they come into these spaces defensive. People with developmental potential try to discover a deeper understanding about themselves and reality.
Woo!
To this end, they're willing to engage in self-reflection.
God damn.
Even
I'm starting with the man in the mirror.
come on, even if this entails painful self-doubt, although the uncertainty inherent in this process of self-examination can create the byproducts of anxiety, guilt, or depression. So acknowledging that the process can create these feelings, but these feelings can be, transient. They can be momentary. He said, tackling these deep questions ultimately yields a stronger, more adaptive personality.
But you live to fight another day. I hear Pop when you be talking. Hey, you know what you just did? You just broke down my grandma's story about the grapevine. You just broke down the benefits of resilience and how the grapevine has the DNA to be a grapevine and produce grapes, but it didn't produce grapes for 7 years until it was stressed. It had to be stressed to become resilient in order to produce fruit. And yes, it was a painful and laborious process. I sound like Truth right now. Shout out Truth. But that's what you just broke down, as I heard. And in our community, in our blue pill upbringing, we want the sugar. We don't want to go through this hard because we don't have our fathers in the home. We only have this softness. And what we're talking about is hard. I talked to my wife one day about, and I'm relating to the plants. I said, imagine how it feels to open up and bloom as a flower. It got to be painful, right? If a plant could experience pain, but it's such a beautiful thing. Once it blooms and opens up, the spores come out. It pops open. When it's blooming, it's something happening in nature. It's not just for us. We like, oh, the pretty flower, but it's actually a growth process that helps the plant live and create a legacy. Because when the flower blooms, it's about to die. But the spores from the blooming fell, and then it generates more. I talked about pruning the plant when Rael was talking about how the process of loss and separating and letting go in that process of growth. I relate that to to grow the plant, sometimes you got to prune the leaves. I said that got to be painful. It's painful for me as the purveyor of my garden. I love each plant. I grew them plants from seed. I did it without seed, but I did it from seed this year. It was a laborious, long process, and I'm praying every day. So when I prune the plant and I'm seeing every little flower like fall, it hurt me. So I know I got to hurt the plant, but I'm doing it in the effort to produce fruit for my family. And I know if I don't stress the plant and if I don't make the plant resilient, it won't live through the 111-degree weather, and it won't be able to sustain the high winds. We got to do that with our sons and our daughters. Because what happened is we let them in public and they out here frying. We haven't built up their resilience, their tolerance. They don't have the ability to discern and have a blind spot. And they withering away. And it's your responsibility as a parent to grow resilient plants that have the ability to produce fruit. Go ahead, bro. I hear you clicking.
We have heard in these spaces for years the shaming tactic of defining Black men as angry. Whenever people hear some things that they don't want to hear about Black women collectively. This is what this particular PhD psychologist has said about that. This particular part is just a short part. It's called waking up to anger. They said because anger is an expression of individuality. It's the emotion that emotionally immature parents most often punish their children for having. I'm going to read that one more time. Because anger is an expression of individuality. It's the emotion that emotionally immature parents most often punish their children for having. But anger can be a helpful emotion because it gives people energy to do things differently and lets them see themselves as worthy of sticking up for. It's often a good sign when overly responsible, anxious, or depressed people begin to be consciously aware of feeling angry. It indicates that their true self is coming to the fore and that they're beginning to care about themselves. One reason why this stands out to me is because in the late 80s, my dad had his substance abuse issues. I'll never forget this. It was my birthday, and he had gave me some money for my birthday. We went to McDonald's, and then later on that day, he wanted to get the money back from me. So I was pissed. So I had just got my meal. I was drinking my drink, and I just threw everything on the ground, including my food, the money, everything. I threw it on the ground, and I told my father I hated him. Years later, his girlfriend was talking to me, and she said that talking to him, she said that was the very thing that made my father decide to get some help for himself. Was me going the fuck off the way I did.
That's deep, bro.
When he heard me say I hated him, it woke his ass up. It woke him up. So for all these people because there is a such thing as constructive anger. That's what this particular psychologist is talking about. Constructive anger. To bring attention to an issue because you want to either defend yourself or you're defending other people who are being wrong. This is the problem that a lot of Black people are having. In their mind, their mama cannot do any wrong. So she's right no matter what. There's nobody on planet Earth, including myself, that's right all the time. Nobody has that. It's okay to question your parents. They're not your God. They fuck up too. So this idea that your mom can do no wrong is the very type of behavior that has you repressing so many ill feelings, because the more you keep getting used, your body your psychology is telling you something is wrong, but you keep repressing and you keep repressing. This is why many of these damn serial killers end up being raised by these types of damn females, people who don't allow them to express their emotion. This is what happens in relationships with a lot of these Black females. They can't accept the fact that you get angry at something that they do to you because they wronged you. I had a chick who I was with who used to call over my dad's house, trying to talk bad about me to my dad's girlfriend. But my dad's girlfriend, she actually stood up for me. And she said to her, I've known Junior for 11 years. And in those 11 years, she said, I've only seen him get angry one time. She said, if he's getting angry the way that you're saying he's getting angry, she said, it's because you're doing something to him. And once she told her that, she stopped calling. Because she was trying to form like Voltron with the sisterhood to go against me. And even that woman, in all of her silliness, even she didn't buy it. She was like, no, that's not him. So, but many times these females will do wrong to you, and if you would react, because I've looked at some of this stuff as far as what they talk about in the literature as far as black men. Everybody else can express anger. White men, white women, black women, but black men are the most likely to repress their anger because of how society reacts to black men expressing anger when society does black men wrong. So this is a shaming tactic that many people will use. Many of these women have learned from their mothers because they were never allowed to express their anger for the stupid shit they saw their mom doing and how it made them feel. So all they do is just take that to the relationship and act like you can't get pissed off. Like, how dare you feel that I wronged you to the point that you express anger? I had a ex who I got into an argument over that. I was like, you wronged me and I'm angry. I said, how are you getting angry at me for being angry at the fact that you wronged me? And she saw how stupid it was. Because it was like, you wronged me. Like, how are you upset that I'm upset that you wronged me? So the reality of the situation is that this is what's going on. Like, these talking points is showing people that we're human. We have a right to express our anger, not because we're gonna go and beat up somebody or something like that. But if we have to goddamn go off, a lot of times we have a good reason and justification for it. You know what I'm saying? That's why we have a brother like Angry Man in the Space. He got that name for a very specific reason. It's not a coincidence. It's not a coincidental name. It's not a coincidental name. So we have the right. Now, do we want to stay in that anger? No, we don't. But do we have the right to feel anger and express it as long as we ain't actually hurt anybody, especially physically? Yeah, we do. But do we have a group that actually allows us to express that anger? Because most feminine women, when they hear a man get angry, a lot of times they understand it's actually more hurt than anger. A psychologist told me years ago, he said, usually behind anger, there's hurt. But they think it's just you just going off because you just some King Kong type motherfucker. And it's like, no, look at the Incredible Hulk. What usually makes the Incredible Hulk calm down? If you watch the TV show, it was usually that soft woman that calmed him down, that talked him off the ledge. He calmed down. Because that's what feminine women are supposed to be able to do. They're supposed to be able to have the pulse of your emotion to the point they don't do anything to actually drive you to that point. That's the problem. We have too many masculine energy women that actually escalate the man's anger and then try to point to him and call the police or something like that when it gets out of hand and say he's King Kong.
And what we had keep coming up is that brothers with the blue pill, parachute, blue cape syndrome want to excuse the female's behavior.
Right.
And somehow say that we can alpha our way through this, that we can, if we are the ultimate masculine, which is so much to put on my 20-year-old son at 20 years old, for him to be that. You know, Truth, and I love Truth when he be coming, but I next time I hear Truth on the panel, I'm gonna say that to him. That's a lot to put on my 20-year-old son when we saying, you know what I'm saying? That's why now they saying don't get married till 35, so that you have this wisdom. But that's a lot to put on the 20-year-old.
Right. Totally agree. I was just talking to one of my homeboys from high school earlier, and we were talking about his son, and he's like 20, 21, and he's tired of the thought culture and the hood stuff. Like, he's 20, 21, and he's tired. So these youngsters, they're seeing, like, you know, especially as far as the males are concerned, they don't want no parts of that.
You don't.
They don't want any parts of that. And for all these single moms who are raising these daughters to be on thought culture, you and your daughters are going to get a rude awakening of your lives. When these men, when they get to the point where they marry and they don't marry nobody that look like you, you're going to be real hurt. Your daughter's going to be hurt. It's already going on at the middle school, high school level, where so many females are asking the question, why don't these black boys like us?
But wait,
why they won't date us?
go back to what you read. I love what you read. They're talking about the parents. You said a couple things. You said a person with psychological, the lack of psychological intelligence would not benefit from a bad incident, right? But then you also went deeper. When you talk about this right now, when you talk about those two, the mother and the daughter watching each other porn tape,
right?
You said where a parent who does, go back to that, where a parent who doesn't have the ability wouldn't be, I don't want to say it wrong, but you were saying a parent who did not have the emotional maturity. I put it in the chat. That's right. A parent lacking emotional maturity. And because you're talking about the positive anger, a parent lacking emotional maturity will not want a child to express their anger.
Right.
So you get this game, you get this smoky type of female, right? The woman knows all the shit. They know how to have sex, right? Mm-hmm. They know how to suck dick. They know how to twerk. At 3 years old, they have all the game.
Yep.
But because the mother doesn't have emotional maturity and wisdom, they really don't have the ability to love the daughter.
No,
and they're not imparting the whole equation that we just broke down in both ways. They're not creating a resilient plant that can bear fruit. So you got a barren womb. She got difficulty getting pregnant because y'all having sex all the time. You didn't create a resilient plant because your lack of emotional maturity, and you didn't see the benefit of wisdom in your life. You thought game. That's why I wanted to break this down, game versus wisdom, because these 50-year-old niggas talking about game. I don't want my son to be confused and think that he can benefit and have this positive outcome and live my life from game. You don't get my life from game. That's not how I got here. I got here through long suffering.
Right.
And this is a testimony. It's a testimony. So you don't have to go through the long suffering. And wisdom is you being able to benefit from this curriculum. And you are intelligent if you apply this knowledge that you've received here today. Not only from the books, but from our testimonies. Rael gave you an intimate testimony. It's for you to apply this shit. That application is not game. That application is wisdom.
Yep. Here is something else in this particular chapter that I think is very important, because I've been saying this for over 20 years. It said, waking up through relationship breakdowns. Relationship problems present a huge opportunity to wake up. Given that we tend to play out painful patterns learned in childhood in our significant adult relationships, it isn't surprising that so many people come for therapy because of relationship issues. And because intimate adult relationships are so emotionally arousing, they tend to activate unresolved issues about not getting our emotional needs met. We often project issues. Here's a key point right here. We often project issues about our parents onto our partners. Then we may become even more angry with them because at an unconscious level, they remind us of the past, in addition to whatever is happening in the present. You have women out here who are putting responsibilities on Black men that have absolutely nothing to do with Black men at all. absolutely nothing to do with black men at all.
That's deep.
You got problems with your mama. Like Angry Man said, your mama ain't shit. But you don't want to come to grips with that. So you want to be woke. You want to be out in the street marching and protesting at every injustice that you can find, all to distract you from the very person you need to be protesting, which is your goddamn mammy. Mm. That's who you need to be protesting. Not the police in the street. Because if some shit pop off and Bin Laden come through, the police gonna defend you. As racist as that cop is, it might be. Bin Laden come through, the cop is gonna protect you. The cop is gonna defend you.
That's because they're defending their own interests at that point.
Thank you. So again,
Cosby.
This is some people do not want to tackle this subject, man, because there are some very deep-seated shit that black adult males and females have seen their mom engaged in that they do not want to remember.
Hey, that's why I thought it was worthy of discussing. You are absolutely right. It's a very deep topic. This emotional immaturity, this game thing versus wisdom, and how it is that all of our sisters are finding themselves in this situation when they had elder women. Think about what he keeps saying every night. You got all these older women around you, and they never took the time to impart wisdom upon you. Their emotional immaturity sought that they would cripple you. And y'all all calling in, needing to get mental readjustments. And you had elders around you. It's a sick, twisted thing that's going on right now. I think if you was in their shoes, it's a cold shit. The way you gotta look back and be like, damn, I had a mama and a grandmama who lived 50, 60 years old. These bitches knew this shit and they never took the time to tell me this few little things that could have helped me be successful, and I lost this good man. That's some cold shit. Every night, same sob story. That's game? I don't want that.
It's easier to say that there are not enough good men. First of all, that's a very flawed argument. For one woman to say there are not enough good black men, you don't need enough. You just need one. So that's a very flawed argument. One of these goofy chicks actually tried to say that on Kevin's show sometime last year. And he kept bringing her back to, forget about that. What do you bring to the table? What do you represent? And she didn't really want to have to answer that question because she became in a multitude of failure women, she got to hide. It's like the black church. The reason why.
That's the Negro. That is the Negro.
Yes. The reason why.
This is why these blue pill, they won't let the Negro die.
Right. Hold on. Let me get this out.
Go ahead.
The reason why church is so popular amongst black people is not because black people are actually learning. The church is primarily popular for black people. It's because it's the one institution that black people still have that they can go to where they get to hide in plain sight.
Come on.
They get to hide amongst a bunch of failures and not be seen. That's why church is that's why it's so popular. We see a bunch of these old Negroes running around, swinging off chandeliers and shit like monkeys. But when you look at their lives, they've been going to the same church for 20 years. And nigga, you still fucked up.
No results. Shout out to Steve in the building, DS1. Thank you for coming through, my brother. I'm gonna go ahead and mod you up. Drop your link, man. Make sure y'all subscribe to DS1 A Game Lifestyle, man. I give this brother a lot of props on my show a lot. I tell you, I say this brother is a challenging to me because he's an A Game content creator with the messages that he presents and the visuals that he presents. Not only creating a great curriculum, but a great message. I've challenged individuals above 1,000 subscribers to say that we are not benefiting from the current wave that is occurring right now here in the manosphere. If you don't have a product, if you over 1,000 subscribers, then you're not doing it right. And I was having this debate, and I find DS1 got a product, got a commercial, and not only does he have a product, it's a product created by a black man for a black man, benefiting the health of black. It's everything we talking about in the pill. What made me so passionate about it is because DS1, I heard him explaining to men the benefits of the pill. Like Alonzo Hall explaining to black men the benefits of life insurance. We shouldn't have to do that. A health supplement, A-game lifestyle. You're going to buy products from somebody. The black man has to convince you to purchase something that's going to be beneficial to your health. I'm presenting a message to you that's going to make beneficial to your health and your son. Here's something that's going to have you be around longer for your son. Take this message, take this pill. And it just floored me. I was wow. I was so impressed. I was challenged. Today, my Moorish partner just checked me right before this call. He said, when you going to make the mandel? When you going to put the man candle out? I said, I'm going to work on it this weekend. He like really got on my head about the shit because I have a company. I made money, like my company in the black. Like I was just telling him about my Bunsen beakers and like how you going to come up with the scent. So I told him I already bought all the scents. It's going to be like tobacco, leather, wood, and I'm going to throw a citrus to lighten it up. I already got some black vessels. It's going to be the man candle. My wife said, call it the man. He said, when you going to make it? You already blowing up your subscribers and views. Where your product at? You going to wait till you get to 1,000? He got on my head today because I'm preaching this shit and I'm not doing it. They put a man on clippers. They put a man on soap. They put man on lotion. DJ Khaled got his own version. What are we going to do? When are we going to wake up and benefit from the wave? What's happening now is that individuals outside of our neighbor, what's happening is a gentrification of the black manosphere. Individuals have seen the market potential. We are arguing on whether or not we should have products. I'm not going to call him out of his name because Rael, you in the mental health field, you got respect for that brother and we resolved the issue. But this brother was saying we should not do what I'm talking about. We shouldn't ask for cash apps. We shouldn't get super chats and we shouldn't have products. It don't make no sense. So who should sell us the health supplements then? Who should sell us the mental health books then? If you're a mental health professional, you should have a book and a curriculum. A white Jewish, someone else should sell us the book. You shouldn't write a book based on your life and experiences. No, you should have a book and a product speaking to your wisdom that you and your family build a legacy of benefit from. Every other body in America did that. So, man, I was so impressed after I'm having these debates and I see Sleep Slate, DS1 and Angry Man pushing this A-game lifestyle. I started sharing them and shouting them out every chance I got because I felt like at that point, 5.0 man elevated man, the debate is over. At this point, it's catch-up. At this point, it's catch-up. My brother, like, get your candle out where you already got a company, you tripping. At this point, it's catch-up. If you got 1,000 subscribers and you ain't got a product, it's catch-up. If you're not doing with DS1, if you're not putting out the visuals, if you playing catch-up. 5.0 is a race to the top, TOP. 5.0 is them brothers that won't stop. 5.0 is them brothers that got a lot, get free. Roger said, don't say, don't bring up that female content creator, but I use that analogy because I was impressed. He said, it's true, but we got to do it on our own, so don't use that analogy, and I respect that, so I take that check from my cool table brother. But the content that DS1 Sheep Slay Sleep is creating is so compelling that you watch the commercial. That's what we got to do. That's what TV is. That's why the Jackson 5 would dance with the cereal box in their hand. It was all about the product. The content, Wolfman, when they say D, perfect, you sound like a radio host, I'm running with it. Because that's radio host, as I'm doing my perfect timing, oh, let's go. Thank you for calling in. This is Kellogg's Kool-Aid. Buy it right now. And it got to be our product with my voice. It got to be me saying A-game lifestyle. Let's go. It got to be me saying angry man. It got to be me saying C-Say TV. Subscribe now. It got to be me saying Rael book list with affiliate links because my voice resonates. We got to step into our space, step into who we are, like Rael said. It's catch up now if we're not doing these things. It's not doxing. It's not beefing. It's not game. It's not pimping. It's not pumping and dumping. Rael, when you told me, D, perfect, it will be bad times. Seeing the good and the bad. That's wisdom. Being able to still paint brilliant, beautiful colors out of a hard time. After my divorce, picking myself up, building a new life. The Perfume song said, how come we are so afraid of getting married? Other people get divorced and get remarried. What's wrong with us? You're not going to elevate in your business, in your life, be blessed by God without this marriage and this family. Let's get it together. Let's get this fear out the way. Let's see what the benefits are of marriage and family and community. I said, I broke down church. DS1 got a family he love, he take care of. Rael got a family he love. We come together as men and say, you know what? We really hell of a blessed, bro. We got these wives, these kids, these house. Let's get together on Sunday. Let's talk about growing this block, protecting our block, making sure our kids could play outside safe and our women could go to work safe. We're going to talk about having a security plan. While we have a meeting about this, my wife going to cook. Rael, can your wife make that cake? And the kids going to play soccer. And the men would congregate and discuss security, legacy. That was church. A forward progression. That's what we doing here at 5.0. We congregate as men. Hey, that's a good idea. Hey, that's a good idea. We're not signing shit. We're not getting married unless we procreated. Every marriage got to have divorce insurance. We congregate. We come up with these code of ethics. We forming this cool tape in group. We growing this congregation to benefit and success of the people say community. I don't like that shit. I don't like that shit. Araya was talking about the fear that our parents had. Hiding. You know, I used to challenge my grandmother about Rael. And I said, why? If his job is to save souls, why so many sinners in here? When you were talking, what I heard is, why is no results required of the church? Because they took the men out and the purpose. If we all meeting and the purpose is protection and provision, it stopped being that. If you're supposed to be saving my mom's still smoking crack. All of these women in here are promiscuous and you just flirting with them. Your job is salvation. I always was saying I got kicked out the church. Because no results, what Rael said. Where's the results?
I was just actually having a conversation with somebody recently, and I asked them specifically, I said, the black church don't even talk about marriage no more. And then they stopped and was like, wait. And then they thought about it. I said, when was the last time you seen a heavy, really popular church like that really hit hard with a message about marriage and family? I was like, when was the last time you heard that? They couldn't even think. They couldn't even think about it. Like, wow. So they literally are catering. The church is literally catering to single moms.
There's money to be made off the race.
They are literally catering to women who, I I tell women all the time, like, especially if they say they Christian, I'll be like, Leviticus 21:7. And they be like, what's that? And I say, Leviticus 21:7, God says, man, do not wife a whore. And they tend to get pissed off. I'm like, but you go to church every Sunday. You're supposed to know this. Because it's entertainment. I could talk to my dad's mom, and she can quote scripture like that. She don't say, well, my granddad is actually a pastor, so, but it used to be people used to say, well, God says in the Bible, boom, 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 boom. Now it's become, well, my pastor says. I don't give a shit what your pastor says. What does the book say? This is what y'all say y'all going by. And see, when you hold them accountable to the book, now we get to really see who's who. But see, as long as they get to say this man with status, which is the pastor, who they getting bent over by, then it's like, oh, okay, yeah, it's all good. But see, that's the whole point. You can have all these different types of controversies and scandals in black churches, and the same pastor can still come back and take over the same church. You can't do that in white churches, especially not when it comes to some money. Jimmy Swaggart, Ted Haggerty, Jim Baker, all these scandals with white folks in the church, they got them fools up out of there. They don't play that. Not when it comes, especially not when it comes to that money like that. So it's a fundamental just erosion of things. So you're not even getting that so-called, spiritual nourishing that you need. You're not even getting the message that you actually need to transform your life. Like I said, you in the same church for 20, 30 years and your life sucks. That space is dead. You know what I'm saying? That space is dead. So we have to really keep these things in mind, because, these be the same women that will try to actually beat you into submission with church. But I tell them all the time, well, the church, in terms of an institution, and the scripture, the law, that's two different things. That's two different things. So which one are you following? Are you following church, or are you following the scriptural law? Most of the time they follow in church. And the reality of the situation is that from a spiritual standpoint, there is just no accountability whatsoever. At the same time, the same female that ain't listening to anything that the scripture says, the first thing that they'll say to a child is, honor thy father and mother. If they don't know any scripture, especially when a child reacts in anger, which the scripture even says, honor thy father and mother, but do not provoke thy child to anger. Which is why I read what I read, because when a child gets angry at a parent, that's their individuality coming out. Like, the child is seeing something ain't right here. What you talking about, mom, and dad? Like, this ain't, because what you saying over here is not what you lined up doing. So what's going on here? But in Black America, especially when it comes to these single moms, it's do as I say, not as I do. Because there's no structure there. There's no enforcement mechanism there to make that woman do it. Whereas when you got these other religions, let's say, for example, Islam, ain't none of that type of stuff. They will kick your ass out of that mosque and not even think twice about it, and tell you that your children can't come there either. In both of these religions, you have to get permission from the husband to get a divorce. Matter of fact, if you're a Jewish woman and you want a divorce from a man and he doesn't give it to you, and he goes on and goes and marries another woman, and you have a child while still married to him, and you haven't gotten that divorce, they don't even consider your child Jewish in the religion.
That's deep.
That's how powerful enforcement and authority really is.
That's a
They said I don't care what your child is not even legitimate.
That's a blind spot.
That's what authority is. Rules, standards, operating procedures. And that's the difference between groups that do well and groups that fail.
Oh, that's powerful, man. Thank you, Ryo. Man, you have to stop, man. I be just trying to throw in my little I be doing ad libs. I be trying to just ad lib in the background, brother. You can keep going. That's a blind spot. He said the baby wouldn't even be considered Jewish. You know what I really heard? I heard this the other day on the panel. It made me think about my uncle and my cousins. They Jehovah's Witness. And in Jehovah's Witness, you could be disfellowship. And I was the bad kid. Like, I'm from the inner city and they live in the suburbs. So I couldn't even go over their house unless it was like an event where it'd be more other people from the family, but I really wasn't allowed there because they could get disfellowship simply because I smell like weed. You know what I'm saying? They couldn't be around. My cousins couldn't hang out with me. And my cousin got caught hanging out and he didn't even have to take part in those actions. It was enough just to be in my company. And you could be disfellowship from the hall, the Kingdom Hall. It was extremely strict. And my auntie, rest in peace, she got disfellowship for gossiping. And this is how the women would keep the other women in check. She got reported back to the Kingdom Hall by another wife who did not find her gossiping as a wifely quality and did not want that quality upheld as something as a Jehovah's Witness woman would carry herself that way.
Damn right.
You hear what I'm saying? So she was disfellowship and she had to go through a rigorous reconditioning. And it wasn't even a choice because her clientele was from the church. So she had to get back in good graces with the church. For the family, for the business, for everything. They end up divorcing. And I think it was what you said in the book, it was a lack of emotional maturity. And that shit was so powerful where you said a psychologically unintelligent person will not benefit from a horrible emotional act. But someone with a emotional intelligence, emotional maturity can garner wisdom from that bad. That's why it was so important that I go back and do another episode to picture that. And I address seeing the good and the bad.
Well, that's why I specifically brought this particular book up because, especially for somebody, not speaking ill of him or anything like that, he's just an avatar for people in this particular point in their lives. That's why I specifically came up there and referenced the book because, in terms for Irv Gotti, because this is an issue that adult children are having because what we have in Black America are adults who are scared to be adults.
Right.
They're actually scared to fully break away emotionally from their parents.
Arrested development.
Yes. And so when you have people, because this was when I was even younger, 20s, and when I would hear grown men older than me, 40s and 50s, 60s, talking about, man, no matter how older I get, I'm still scared of my mama. I'm like, what?
And proud to say that.
And proud to say that shit. I'm like,
as if they're teaching that, they're passing that down. The lack of resilience.
I'm like, man, what the hell is wrong? Dudes talking about they mom, if they say something they mama don't like, they mama can still slap them in the face. You 40 something, you're 40, 50, nigga, you crazy? I'm like, oh hell no. You know what I'm saying?
Boyce Watkins.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Like, this shit is some, and these are the type of dudes that's trying to tell you, hey man, go with the program. No, nigga, you can go with that program. If you like to get your ass beat up on and treated like crap, nigga, that's you. That ain't black men. That's nigga you. You just happen to be a black male.
Hey, all bullshit aside, not even putting it down, not even like for real, because I want people to grow. Like, shout out Sleep, Stay, Sleep TV, DS1, Heal Before We Build. Is that not an example of a lack of emotional maturity?
Yes, very much so.
Straight up, man, without even like trying to put nobody down. I'm not gonna hit no sound effect. But for someone to really grow from this message, that is epitomizing the lack of emotional maturity. It's someone who is afraid to do the work.
Look, in this particular chapter, that's why I think this is a very important chapter in this particular book. This is called waking up from idealizing others, because this is a problem that black children have as it relates to single moms. It said one of the hardest fantasies, this is the word the psychologists use, one of the hardest fantasies to wake up from is the belief that our parents are wiser and know more than we do. It can be embarrassing and even scary for children to see their parents' weaknesses. And even as adults, people may strongly resist seeing their parents' immaturity for what it is. It can feel better to remain naive about their limitations than to look at them objectively. Subconsciously, perhaps we feel protective of our parents' vulnerability. This shit is hitting so deep, man. You know, like it's just some weird stuff. Like
that's something millennials be talking about with culture,
right?
And how that behavior gets passed down.
A lot of people, like, first of all, like, I know what it's like to instill fear in my mother because I did it. To see the fear in her, feeling that the onslaught was about to come. And that's all I needed to see. Because once I saw the fear in her eyes of me, I immediately knew, oh man, you ain't nothing but a damn bully. You ain't tough. You ain't hard. I mean, I already knew it, but just to see the physical manifestation of it.
How does that manifest?
To see the pupils dilate and get open up like, oh shit, here comes the reckoning.
Now let's talk about like what Angry Man said last night. How did that manifest in your life? Well,
the thing is, I actually rejected my mom. So
that's what I'm saying. Because I want to know in a positive, like what Angry Man was saying last night, when you did that and you saw that, when you confronted the main bully in your life, I want to talk about how did that manifest in your life? How did you move forward after you realized that this person was just a bully? Did that resonate throughout all of the bullies throughout the rest of it? You know what I'm saying? Go there, bro.
Well, the thing is, like, you know, I always was a cocky kid anyway, just coming up. You know, I just and not so much cocky, because in Black America, it's distilled as cockiness. It's funny, man, because, you know, I was having a conversation with an African chick on WhatsApp recently, and she was mesmerized by how just the way I carried myself. Like, it was unsettling for her. Like, she said, I don't want to say, I mean, I can't say you're arrogant, but it's like, and I told her, I said, the problem is that the men you're used to dealing with don't have what I have. That's why you don't understand why it's making you feel the way you feel. I said, your nature is responding to it the way your nature is supposed to respond. I said, but your ego is fighting your nature. I said, your biology is responding exactly the way that you're supposed to respond, but it's making you feel completely vulnerable, because you don't know how I'm making you vulnerable without even having to touch you.
You are in rebellion. Women, thou art loose.
Right. So, but see, I've always had that. So, and the fact that, you know, I could reject my mom because because I grew up with my dad. So I was with my dad since I was 2, since they divorced. So there was never a time where I was like, yo, dad, I want to go stay with mom. You know, it was always my mom calling my dad saying, hey, I want you to send, you know, Junior to see, you know, to stay with me. And I could never, the longest I ever stayed with my mom was the year she passed. Other than that, I could never stay with her longer than 5-6 months. I couldn't deal with her. You know what I'm saying? I just like, nah, I gotta go back to my pops, man. So it would be a falling out, and then I would be gone. So, but I believe specifically, my mom used to try to use me to try to get back at my dad. The problem was, because I was considered like arrogant, like she couldn't get to me like that. She couldn't affect me. Like she would be on the stupid shit she was on, and I would just look at her like, "That's all you got?" Because I knew what it was. So that's the thing, you know. Like, you know, at the end of the day, like before she became a mother, she was a woman. And women that be on some bullshit, they'll try to tear you down. They don't give a shit if you're their son. If they was on some bullshit before they became a mom, they're still gonna be on the bullshit if they ain't got off of it. Now you're just gonna be the center of the attention of it. Because she has the power. If she is in control of you and has you, she can focus it all into you. But before you, it was your dad. It was your dad. So I never valued her enough to the point that anything she did hurt me. I never valued her like that because I always chose my pops, no matter how wrong he was. You know, when I look at pictures of my dad, I can see my face in my dad, looking just like him. So I resonated with his experience because as a man, I understood that I used to say this all the time. My father's struggles in his life helped me prepare for my own. So when it came to my mom, like to me, it was like she was almost kind of irrelevant because, you know, being with my dad, I had on my dad's side feminine women like my great grandmother, my great aunts who were from that silent generation who represented that old school type of way you're supposed to be. So even though she was on her stuff, I still got it from the feminine aspect. So I know what feminine Black women look like. So even though she was on what she was on, I didn't have that deficit like that. So, you know, and at the end of the day, you know, man, I like to win.
Right.
I love winning more than I like pain. So I can deal with pain. I hate losing though. I hate the pain of losing. So I can deal with the pain that is required to get to the win. Because the win is like Kobe Bryant, man. This is one of the best quotes I ever heard him ever say. Kobe Bryant said he hated losing more than he loved winning. And that shit was perfect. That shit was perfect. He said, I hate losing more than I love winning. Because losing, that shit hurts. But man, that winning, man, it feels good. So when somebody is trying to assault you, especially emotionally,
I like that.
And family has the best chance and opportunity to hurt you the most. So if you can withstand the onslaught and the assault emotionally from people that you're related to by blood, man, can't nobody out here fuck with you. Nobody. You've had to stand up to the most important people in terms of your early development in your life, and those are people that raise you. So when you can stand up to them and face that challenge, people out here ain't got a chance. And that's what upsets a lot of Black people as it relates to Black men who have confidence and self-esteem. They can't assault them emotionally. They can't say some bullshit that's gonna make them go back and question themselves and wonder why people treat me like this, and that, and for blah blah this. You know what I'm saying? You know, those people are gonna use that as fuel. You know what I'm saying? Just like Michael Jordan did. Michael Jordan used all the rejection that he got. He used that shit, man, to bust motherfuckers' ass on that court. You know what I'm saying? That's what he did. So he was always looking for that edge, like, oh, this motherfucker said something? Okay, I got you, dog. Okay, I'm about to do this on your ass. You know what I'm saying? I'm about to drop 55 on you. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, he always used that as fuel. And that's one thing I do appreciate about Michael Jordan. I think after basketball, I think he's taken a little extreme. But in terms of competition, he used it exactly the way he was supposed to. He used it exactly the way he was supposed to. Because what he was doing, he was quieting all the naysayers. Naysayers are a part of the journey, but you got to shut them the fuck up. You got to shut them the fuck up. You do. Because if you don't shut them up, that the gaslighting that they do, that critic that they are, if you're not careful and you allow them to assault you emotionally and mentally, that critical voice that they give you will actually become your inner critic of yourself. That's why most people view failure through other people's eyes, because they believe somebody that said they wasn't shit and couldn't do nothing. And when your mom is saying that shit to you, it resonates even more, because it's like, damn, that's mom. So if mom is saying I ain't shit and I ain't gonna never be shit like my dad, then it possibly true, because that's mom, because you give her so much reverence and respect. But the reality is, no parent that loves you would ever say something like that to you. So that's really what it is. So you just have to have that audacity to, like, you just ain't gonna be denied no matter what, no matter who it is. You know what I'm saying? Mom, dad, whoever. You know what I'm saying? You know, so that's the key.
Star player, be the son. I keep saying that because I like when you keep using these church analogies. Some of my favorite pastors were the pastors the guest speakers that would come in and have these conflicting sermons that would cut you and make you want to change, because they would say intimate things that how did you know that about me? You know what I mean? Because they weren't afraid. They were actually doing the work, because they were a guest pastor. They could actually do the work of saving souls, and they could actually do salvation, which had to do with this conflicting and growing people where they were at in their emotional immaturity, right? And that's what I hear a lot when you speak. I hear a conflicting tone that is challenging people to grow where they are. You know what I mean? Like, it's a salvation in Rael's message. It's a challenge, you know what I mean? And it may even touch you deeply if it and a lot of times we resonate on the same vibration because we've gone through similar things. That's why I think these platforms could be so beneficial.
Well, I mean, the beautiful thing that we live in America, and we have a proliferation of information. Failure is really truly a choice at this point. I mean, it truly is. I mean, that's just the bottom line. I mean, there's information out there. There's information out there that people can use to get themselves on course. But the question they have to ask themselves is, do you value acceptance or excellence? People who value excellence are people that are willing to go against the grain of conventional thinking in terms of collective consciousness. The collective consciousness of Black people is to view themselves as victims.
Mediocre.
Booker T. Washington, I took an African-American political thought class in college. And one of the things that stood out to me about Booker T. Washington was this idea about the survival of the fittest. Around that time, there was a real coming out of the Darwinian viewpoint. They tried to make the argument that whites were more fit. And Booker T. Washington, he pushed back on that. He said, well, based off the experience of Black people in slavery, he said, actually, Black people are much more fit to actually have gone through something like that and survived. So he actually pushed back on that notion of who is more fit. And that used to be a very prevalent mindset, you know, of blacks. But it's ironic that the further that we've gotten away from the slave experience and Jim Crow is that we're seeing black people become the weakest that they ever been, really. Because I think specifically, I think this mother issue is really hitting harder and deeper than what people really want to acknowledge.
And I think quarantine has really, that's so true. It's been hidden. You talked about like different places where people have been able to hide. Black women have been able to hide in the whore culture.
Right.
You haven't had to do this reflection. You haven't had to do this self-work.
Right.
As think about what we're saying and doing 5.0. We have to do this work. As black men, we've been forced to put in this position. We don't have the luxury to be emotionally immature. You get put in prison for thinking rashly and being violent and being emotional, right? There are checks in place for us in our emotional rashness, but nothing for them.
Right.
This quarantine has created that check.
Right. Well,
go ahead.
I mean, nature is nature, man. And this was what I tried to explain to this one chick is that without masculine authority over you as a woman, by nature you're gonna feel insecure. It's your nature to feel insecure. That's why you need a man, because a man is gonna make you feel secure. When you have that aura and that self-esteem and confidence as a man, you could look at a woman and just say something that just resonates with her on such a biological level, man. You can make them panties get wet. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's how powerful, man, your aura is, man. So, the very thing that they're claiming that they don't want black men to be, in terms of, in their mind, it's arrogance. No, it's self-esteem, it's confidence. You're just, as a woman, you're so used to attracting men with low self-esteem and lack of confidence because your mama helped you develop a poor relationship picker. And the only way that you feel that you can keep a man is by choosing a man who is emotionally subservient to you, which is the very thing you don't need as a woman.
For success.
You need your man to be emotionally, definitely physically, but emotionally superior to you. It's not that men don't feel emotions, but we have something that women like. We have the ability to compartmentalize our emotions and still get the job done.
Right.
That's the key.
I like that.
So because you can't, as a woman, you can't be, when shit is going crazy, you don't want to see your man in the corner crying without a plan. That's not what you want to see. You want to see your man say, hey, I know things is going crazy right now, but this is what we're going to do. Boop, 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 boop. And if we follow this plan right here, we're going to be fine. That's enough to get you to calm down. Like, okay, all right, cool. It's going to be a little rough, but we're going to be all right. That's all it takes. But when you don't have that as a woman, everything in the external environment is triggering you. And that's the last thing you need to be as a person, as a human, is to be constantly being triggered all the time. Trigger, angry. That's the last thing you need to be. You know what I'm saying? The man, he comes with the calming effect. You know what I'm saying? It's something even in men's sperm, and when it comes in a woman's body, it has a calming effect. I forgot what it's called. There's a calming effect on a woman. So the idea that a woman don't need a man, biologically, that's impossible. Yes, you do.
Like that. You need me, bitch.
You need the man.
You're funky, bitch. You're flat-footed, funky back, no good. Half of you. Shout out to Truth as we know it in the building. I just modded you up, baby. If you want to drop your link, make sure everybody go subscribe to Truth As I Know It. He over there dropping fire content in the building. Very intelligent brother again. 5.0 men elevating men. Get over there, subscribe to Truth As I Know It. It's an A-game lifestyle, perfect timing podcast, Sheep Stay Sleep TV, Angry Man Boss Talk Radio, Roger Report Live, and right now I'm rocking with my co-host, Rael, in the building. We did a serious book drop tonight, read a couple chapters. Find the link in the chat. Get that book. I bought that book. I've been doing curriculums with my wife. You want to move forward, build some emotional maturity. Yeah, man. Get the message, man. It's an A-game lifestyle, perfect timing podcast in the building. 5.0 cool table politics. Shout out to my brother Roger Report Live for the slingshot theory. Hey, man. The conversation today was about blind spots. And then the conversation was a great conversation. But the conversation got bogged down because the conversation got bogged down when it went to one of our brothers, and thank you for your service and him being a hero and legitimately so, black man having an issue with someone dying freezing cold in the garage with their children. And what was being discussed was, and then Rael had a great example today where in a certain religion, that if a woman doesn't get a divorce and has a child, that child is not even seen as part of the religion. It's being able to have a blind spot. That religion would turn a blind eye to that child. And what we talked about today is being able to have the discernment to turn a blind eye to situations that are unhealthy and unproductive for you and your success in your life. Not in the sense to be cold, not in the sense to be a pimp, not in the sense to that we are purveyors of individuals freezing cold and dying. That's not the goal. The goal would be that individual would have an adequate male support system that would not happen. And you would not feel compelled to save someone who didn't want to save themselves. And so from that conversation, I said to myself, there's a huge divide. There's a separation. And I called these people out on Easter as Judases, and DS1, my brother, also has championed the same message. He said, there's space for y'all over there. The pimps to play. Don't come in the manosphere. This is not about that. Angry Man had to make a video about 4.0 and straight up say it. And say to the new people that these other people brought you in wrong. It's not about doxing. It's not about beefing. I love the way DS1 say heal before we build. I say men elevating men. So I said game versus wisdom. Because there are individuals, these PUAs, these pump and dump, these pimp purveyors that want to come in the chat and always say, game, you got to have game. And Rael, I love how you said, well, this cat, Sister Ray came and said all this game shit, but couldn't even define game. After you come and troll and derail a message, but the brother gave you an opportunity, okay, well, what is game then?
Let me give you the backdrop of what happened.
Crickets, go ahead.
He came on Roger's stream trying to shame content creators. Now, if anybody knows, he really has a problem with Kevin Samuels. He's come to Roger's stream multiple times complaining about him. I've said to him multiple times, if you got such a problem with him, go say it to him personally as a man. Too much of a punk to do it. So he came in there talking about content creators. So, which is a bitch way of talking about stuff. Because if you really got a problem, just say who it is. Don't say content creator. Don't say manager, content creator, blah, 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 this. Because there's a plethora of those. So then he tried to come in with the game stuff because he was trying to basically make the argument that he was on a higher level because, you know, he was in a relationship and such and such and such and such. Then the question was asked, would you marry the woman you with? She was a black woman. I don't believe in state sanctioned marriage. Like, hold on, dog.
That wasn't the question, man.
Completely, he tried to divert away from the question. Cause I don't forget shit, nigga. Cause see, I'm gonna tell you what niggas do. Niggas do shit like bitches do. Bitches that get caught out there wrong, they'll disappear for 3-4 months, and then they'll try to come back acting like you ain't remember what they was on. Nah, nigga, you ain't gonna do no whole shit like that to me. I remember exactly why your ass left and then come back for those 4 months. So
$5. You owe me $25, nigga.
You know what I'm saying? So then, you know, because I pushed back on the game shit. And I said, how you gonna run a game on a chick who has already decided to give you the ass? So I told the story about when I was in the 9th grade, when I was in the counselor's office getting my my schedule changed by the registrar, how this black chick, I was just paying attention to the registrar, you know, as far as my schedule. And the black chick said, "Oh, you got some sexy lips. Give me a kiss." Did that require any game? No, it didn't. She had already chose that I was that dude that she wanted like that.
It was 35,000, wasn't it? It was 35. No, it was 35,000. No, you gave me 6 plus the 1. That's 35,000 plus 7. Motherfucker, can you buy that?
You know what I'm saying? So I said, you don't even understand in body language that people who have done the research actually say that men don't make the first move, women do. They'll play with their hair, they'll pull out their mirror to give you choosing signals to the man that they want to approach them. So she induced you to approach her. So who is really coming with the game? You or her? It's her.
Seduction.
It's the female. That's why MOT, salute to him, he's pushed back on his game shit so hard because he rightly called it out for being some bitch type shit because women do that. Women seduce. Grown ass men pursue a woman. They show interest, and if the woman reciprocates, they keep it going. Not game. And so
I like that.
So BGS, he said, okay. He said, I've had dudes like you from Memphis who have talked about game, how much game you run. He said, okay. He said, but I haven't heard any of you actually give me a definition of what game is. He said, so what is your definition of game? And the nigga could not provide a goddamn definition of something that he was claiming he was on. So he got exposed once again for being on some punk shit. So he did what these hoes do. He disappears. And then he pops back up today like we don't remember the conversation. No, we do remember the conversation. And I specifically, I think I said, I think I remarked about JoJo. I said, this is why young men like JoJo don't like to come around anymore because it's old niggas like this who come with that old school pool hall playing pool bullshit.
Say that. Judas, they are subverting the message. That's what DS1 was saying. That's what made me like, I'm like, this brother saying the same thing I'm saying. Did he watch my Easter program? Because I said this shit on Easter. DS1 been on this shit. Angry Man been on this shit. Everybody. And I love how angry everybody. And now look at the benefits, man. Angry Man been going up, man. Angry Man then double his followers. By simply saying to brothers, all the new content creators and all the new followers, that this shit was created for a reason. I started this shit. And this the motherfucking thanks that I get. It wasn't about doxing and beefing. It's about men elevating men. It's about wisdom. It ain't about game. It ain't about pickup lines. And I'm like, thank God, bro. It's not about pickup lines. That's why that other shit over there looks so corny. It looks so corny. Both of them guys look corny. Both of them guys is not FBA, and everybody want to give them props because they got a lot of viewers and the show looks slick. Hey, this is us with 5 girls. I've tried to watch the show. Even the show with the beefs, it's not an entertaining show. Those guys are not believable to me. I don't believe those guys got bitches. I don't see the application. I believe they're technically savvy because you can see that they've grown. They've had the ability to grow the channel. But as far as listening to guys in order to have a successful marriage, or if you want to have a child and be in that child's life, that's what it comes down to. What is your end goal? That's another thing that I share in common with these brothers with the A game lifestyle. That we believe in marriage. These same game dudes, Rael, they don't believe in marriage. They come to Roger's chat and they troll and they say all this shit and they get offended because they don't believe in marriage and they don't believe in marriage to black women. That's why every time that we've had like sisters come up there and have a lack of understanding, I redirect them to the fact that this is the way a man loves you. This is the love language of men. When he says 29 and down in old lady solutions, please don't be offended because the end goal of this gentleman is marriage between the black man and the black woman. And that right there just went to 1 million subs, everybody. 1 million subscribers on the mess, not doxing, not beefing. 1 million subscribers promoting marriage between black men and black women. That's a hell of a message, and I'm going to keep driving it home. But those pimp purveyors and game slayers would not want that to be the prevailing message of this space.
No.
They don't benefit from black marriage.
No.
So they
because if the standards of black women go up, if their standards go up, it makes it hard for niggas like that to get pussy.
Oh, wow.
That's the point.
Message.
I remember seeing a pro-black dude on Facebook back in 2014, 2015, who literally said in a room, in a room on there, "Oh, I like black women being on the host stuff." And I sat back and watched. I didn't say anything for about 15, 20 minutes because I wanted to see if any black female was gonna come in there and be like, "Wait a minute, what?" And after the silence, I came in there. I was like, "You black women are just basically gonna let this dude say this with no pushback?" I said, "This dude is literally saying he views black women as hoes, and he pro-black." I said, "Yeah, I ain't got nothing to say." It's like, wow.
Do you love them hoes? Hell no. And why is that? Because it's Snoop Doggy Dogg, and you never gave a fuck about the bitch cuss to you. Bitches ain't shit but hoes. That's women singing that.
Yep. So again, and the thing is like, I don't think people really have noticed this, but there is something about the space that is resonating even with the detractors, because if you don't want a traditional family structure or a family structure at all, why would you constantly come to a place where that is the topic of discussion? Like, why? What about family really offends you? Could it be the fact that it's actually through your so-called blood relatives who ain't been family to you, is that where you receive the most hurt, but you're too scared to call the motherfuckers out who hurt you? So instead of being a stand-up man or woman, you come out here to the greater of Black America and you put the responsibility on Black America that you can't even really connect with. You can't, like, you really have to really try to connect with people out here. You try to connect with this nebulous idea of what you think Black America is, which isn't, thinking that you can avoid the very tough shit that your punk ass is gonna have to do, which is do like I had to do with my own father and call the bullshit out. See, I ain't saying that to do something I ain't never have to do, because I ain't a hypocrite. I didn't put my pops on a pedestal. Nobody has ever seen me in this space say, man, I wanted to be like my father, because I don't. The man who I would best want to emulate will be my great-grandfather, not my father. I judge my pops righteously. Not harshly, but I'm not lenient either. I give him the fair criticism he deserved. But I also acknowledge that he didn't have all the answers to give me anyway. I do the same thing with my mother. Because when it comes to both of them, I don't focus on the things that they didn't give me, because that would be plenty. What I do is I focus on the things they did give me. That's what I focus on.
Focus on the positive, not on the lack.
But I'm willing to call out the negative.
Shout out to Shaka Nulu in the chat. Because many
That's
can't
what you
give
have to
feedback.
be able to do.
That's what he just said. That's what he just was saying, the same thing.
Yep. You have to be able to you have to be willing to be able to do that to your parent. You're only going to get a set of them in terms of biology. You only get 2 of them. So they're going to show you, parents do one of 2 things. They either teach you to be, or they teach you how not to be, but they do teach you. So, but in your life, there are going to be people that come into your life that want to take on that role for you to try to help you. You can't live in this world and just be doing wrong shit all the time, and nobody tries to pull you to the side and say, hey, you might want to straighten up, because this is not going to work out too well for you. Now, whether you listen to that advice or not, that's a different story. But people are just not going to let you just be wrong and not try to say something to you. You know what I'm saying? So, and in a lot of ways, these people they can operate like de facto parents for you. You know what I'm saying? To help you in your journey. You know what I'm saying? So now, if you don't listen to them, then obviously, there's consequences that can be had, and it can be actually fatal. But there's going to be somebody that's going to try to pull you to the side and say, hey, you're going down the wrong path. I think you should do this instead of that. So, but the problem is that when you got these old ass niggas telling you to keep doing the wrong shit, when they know when they did all the wrong shit, it didn't turn out well for them.
Have some game. They want you to have a game.
It didn't turn out well for them.
At 50 years old and no business, no fruit, you still talking this game shit.
You talking game, but you ain't telling young men about some damn investments, how to do some business, things like that.
You know what I hear, Rael? Like, I like that Angry Man show too. I watched that last night, and yeah,
it was a great show. I love it.
It touched me because I know what that means for me. You know what it's like for me? I've heard the term used like this: slay the dragon, and that's the ideology that I hear when I hear that confronting that Oedipus complex. Mm-hmm. It's slaying that dragon. You know what I mean? That dragon that is the mother. Because we create these titles and we put these crowns upon these individuals. We got songs, and you know what I'm saying? Even as a crack fiend mama, still is a black queen. The black woman is God. So we've created this. Mm-hmm. And it's upon us in our emotional immaturity to cope with this a reality, right? As FBA in this oppression. We this is our coaxing, this is our coping skills, right? Uh-huh. We created this deity. And now it's kind of hard, right? Think about people who's Hotep, who's wholeheartedly bought into the concept, right?
Right.
And we're telling you that because there's people out there, I'm not gonna say no names, but they keep having hard times despite their application. And they got to slay the dragon. Well, they got to slay that dragon, and it starts with your mom. But that's why I wanted you to go in about how it resonated throughout your life, because the ability to challenge that bully, the ability to challenge that emotional dragon and slay that dragon, to take away the power of the mother, to understand that, because how I had to do it with my mom having her substance abuse addiction is once you take away that title and its importance and its reverence, because that's what our feminism was doing to the women, is taking away that importance and reverence to mother. They said, don't put that importance on it. And that's what Roger said every day. If they're not going to put importance on it, then I'm not going to put importance on it. And once you do that, then you know what you have is what Rael keeps bringing home. And this is the wisdom in the message. You have a human being. He just said that. You made her a God. In your music and your diatribe, you turned her into a deity. I'm telling you, my wisdom has taught me you got to slay the dragon. And throughout your life, you will gain the ability, the discernment to have the blind spot, to slay dragons, to face bullies. But you still gonna be blue pill caping, sipping and sucking if you cannot slay that first dragon and kill that inner bitch and take away the crown off, because it's not like that in any community. Today, they talked about how when in other communities, when the father passed away, the son takes on the role. Even in the Rich Dad, Poor Dad, it talked about how he didn't go to school because his dad died early and he went to work, and his teachers was his dad's accountant and lawyer.
Yeah.
But we hold on to this Oedipus complex. We have this reverence into old age. What Angry Man said, what you said, where people proud that their mama could slap them in their elder age.
Right.
Still haven't slain this dragon. Proud of their emotional immaturity and passing it down. That's the culture that I don't want to say the word wrong, that name was talked about. It's a culture. It's this blue pill culture. Who would hear this message and think that I'm preaching a misogynistic, woman-hating message when I say slay the dragon, but I'm not. When I was able to slay the dragon at the mother concept, the same thing that feminism teaches women, but leaves out that concept for men, right? When I was able to slay the dragon of the mother concept, then I was able to humanize the person that gave birth to me again. And despite her faults, I could deal with her on the level of a woman, because now I could see her as a woman and a woman's nature. Shout out to Truth. Her thought. Shout out to Thought.
Well, that's why I said earlier.
As the mother, I was heartbroken with her addiction. With me seeing her as a deity, it was hard for me to accept her addiction. But once I removed that and I slayed the dragon and I seen her as a human, all people deal with addiction. Then I could, like I learned the true definition of feed them with a long spoon.
Well, one thing I try to impress upon people a lot at times is to tell them, like, your mom is a woman before she's a mother. And I think that's critical because, many times children they only see mom as mom in terms of this role. But if your mom has been broken to the point that she was never prepared for the role, biologically, she's your mom, but emotionally, she's not. So you have to take that into consideration. So there have been many people, I've seen
That's
people.
deep. That's deep. Say that again. That's deep, man. This is so y'all get some shit, right? You gotta start your own channel. But I really love you. I thank you for giving me all these gems. You got it here on Purpose Time Podcast, everybody. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, man, and wipe your feet when you come to the door, man. How you wipe your feet? Perfect. Hit that like button, man, and hit that bell over there, man, so you can get the intro music, the theme, and all the characters, man. Beagle, Bus, and Burglar, Blacasso, and my co-host here, Rael. He said a woman could be biologically your mom, but not. What was the other part?
Emotionally, she ain't.
Because she lacks the emotional maturity. That's why I had to stop, because it hit home to me, because that was my mom. Biologically, she can physically give birth at what, 12, 13, 14? But that don't mean, if you haven't seen MTV, the teenage pregnancy show, you see children, what you said earlier, adult children, you see children giving birth to children. who lack the emotional maturity to actually be good mothers.
Right.
Damn, bro. Go ahead, man. Sorry to interrupt. That was good, man.
Yeah. So, and as a woman, she has woman needs. And that's what children don't understand. Well, my dad got with his girlfriend years ago. When he decided to be with her, my dad sat me down and he said, "Son, I love you." He said, "But I have needs as a man that you can't fulfill." And I knew what he meant. My dad needed needed a woman. So I didn't have a problem with that. Now, I had a problem with the woman he chose, but the fact he sat me down and he explained it. But he wasn't saying it like, "I'm choosing her over you." You know, she was, for him, supposed to be an addition. So people, you know, children need to understand that. Like, your mom has, as a woman, she has womanly needs. And quiet as kept, your mom has womanly needs that supersede the parent-child relationship.
Yes.
This is the one thing that a lot of people don't understand.
That's nature.
I keep telling people all the time, the covenant of marriage supersedes the parent-child relationship. Because you're supposed to grow up and get your own shit.
And that marriage has to continue.
Right.
That was one thing in some of these TV shows. Shout out to Dr. Bill Cosby, man. Welcome home, man. That was one of the messages. This marriage and this relationship has to continue. This relationship between me and you will not continue in the same. Me and this woman will still live in the same house, sleep in the same bed. You need to move out of this house one day and be able to live in your own house with your wife. So naturally, this relationship supersedes the relationship between me and you. You better understand that. And that takes what, Rael? That takes emotional maturity. That's not me saying I don't love. That's what you said earlier. That's compartmentalizing your emotions and your feelings. Don't deify your mother or me in these roles.
Right.
It's your life. Like the movie Soul. I like watching that with my kids over and over. Appreciate the gift.
Good movie.
Great movie, man.
Yeah.
Man, we coming up on 3 hours, man. We were kicking fire. Man, we're gonna go ahead and close it out, man. Thanks everybody for hanging out, man. Rayo, man, go ahead and your closing statements, man. Thank you for all the powerful shit you dropped today, man. Really, man. Book drops, man. A lot of good game, man. We really beat this shit up, man. I thought it was worthy. I thought it was really worthy, man. The blind spot concept, I thought it was really worthy. Game versus wisdom, the opportunity to break down this bullshit that's in the manosphere. I said in one of my hooks, I said 5.0, 5.0, 5.0. 4.0 couldn't do the damn job. 5.0 came to call out a fraud. 4.0 couldn't call out a fraud. 5.0 came to do the damn job. Shaka Nulu said that in the chat. Rael said that again tonight. That's 5.0. You gotta call this shit out.
Well, I had
Go ahead,
once again, I had an ex years ago who her mom her mom grew up in a 2-parent home. Once her mom decided to divorce her dad, once her and her siblings were older, she didn't have that covering of her father. So obviously she got in the streets, got buck wild, her mom ended up having her and her sister by 2 different men. So now this just goes to show you how full of crap women are when we're giving these criticisms. Her mom was being pursued by a dude in a church she eventually married. And the women that she was in that wanted him, when he chose her, you know what those women in the church said? Why did he choose her? She had 2 kids out of wedlock with 2 different men. The very black female that criticized us for saying these things, they criticized her because when it came down to that competition, they lost to her. They lost. And she said some of those women stopped speaking to her after that. When we used to talk about marriage, because I actually broke up with her about three weeks after we had marriage counseling. Her mom had actually turned her against marriage. And this just goes to show you how deep shit can go. And me and her had talked actually before the marriage counseling. And I said, the difference between you and your mom, I said, your mom grew up in a 2-parent home. I said, so your mom understood the benefits of having that. I said that when your mom got tired of rebelling and went back home, went back to the things she knew she was supposed to be, she got a husband. I said, you don't know what that's like. So when you see your mom going back home, you think your mom is being fake. Basically, she thought her mom was going against the sisterhood. And she couldn't understand in certain, when it became a choice between her husband and her daughter, even though she carried her biologically, she couldn't understand why her mom always chose her husband. I said, because that's the order. I said, you're supposed to get your own. I said, you can't hide behind your mother. I said, you're an adult now. I said, yeah, your mom didn't help you completely, but you got to figure it out. And so she didn't understand that covenant superseded her, because there is no her without masculine energy and feminine energy coming together. There is no her. That's the most important thing you have to reconcile. Men have to reconcile that aspect. Women have to reconcile that aspect. What's more hurtful than not getting love out here? From the masculine and the feminine perspective. So that reality is resonating. That's why so many people out here, they're so upset and angry because of that. They don't know how to, they haven't been taught, they can't figure it out, man, how to do this. And that's why you have so many grown adult blacks, male and female, who absolutely have no clue what they're doing. Because there used to be a time where you had grandparents and great-grandparents. One of the things that actually was beneficial when you were coming up was actually being around your grandparents, because a lot of times your grandparents tell you stories, and a lot of grandparents' stories is wisdom. It's a lot of wisdom in their stories because they've seen everything. So you get the benefits of in terms of being a grandchild by hearing that old wisdom. I used to be around my great grandparents a lot, especially my great grandmother, and going over older people's houses and them talk and have conversations and the wisdom they used to express back and forth. It wasn't gossipy stuff. They used to talk about real things, have real conversations. You know, my great grandmother and father were pillars in the community from a family standpoint, because that's what it's about. So we've gotten to the point, because people have gotten hurt so much, we've gotten to the point that everybody wants to go to their corner and don't want to engage. But that's not helpful to you emotionally as a human. You know, I mean, at the end of the day, like, yeah, we chop it up as men, you know, we come together and we talk about stuff, man, but men ain't trying to be around hard legs all the time. It's just the way it is, man. But when you don't have the tools, when you don't know how, because your teaching has been corrupted, you're taught to look at the other side as the enemy, and vice versa. So, and a lot of that is actually starting from the parent aspect, especially in 50 years of welfare and single moms, definitely. So a lot of times you got to get people to get through the actual lie, like your daddy ain't shit, which is a very powerful thing that people have been hearing their entire lives. So because they value what their mom said, to hear something else is that cognitive dissonance sets in. Well, my mom said my dad wasn't shit because he did this and he such and such and such and blah like this and blah say that. I've had to have that same interaction. I've had to have that same interaction with my blood brother, and I had to cut my blood brother off because he believed in the bullshit. So, specifically because his mom wanted to lie, even though my blood brother even told me his mom was treating him and our sister less than when it came to the man she ended up having her youngest child with. So even though he and my sister saw this in their mother, he still couldn't see, our dad's perspective because he was so emotionally wrapped up in his mom's lies, he couldn't see it. So, this stuff resonates on a large scale. People are actually taking these types of things into their personal relationships too. And it's a circle jerk. You're just going to keep going in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out, because you're on autopilot because you don't want to accept the reality that Angry Man said yesterday that your mama ain't shit. He need to, he did the hashtag that shit because that was real. That was real when he explained the difference between his own mother and his grandmother that raised him. He said that his grandmother, when her and his grandfather weren't together anymore, the oldest son became the head of the family. She deferred to him as her son, which is what I've been saying in these spaces for a long time. That when you get to a certain point, you're supposed to be the prince. You're supposed to be raised to be ultimately to become the king. If you're not prepared to be the king, that means Mama had a lot to do with that. Mama had a lot to do with that. So I appreciated him for expressing that about, his grandmother, because that's why he had such a reverence, for her. And matter of fact, I think, he did talk about this, about his first channel, which was, really popular, being flagged during the week of his grandmother's passing, which was, I think, some really, really disrespectful shit. Because, people, I guess, took it, tried to take advantage of, saw him at a weak point emotionally. But this is a black man, who has given reverence to his grandmother, which proved that he ain't no black woman hater, because he's talking about a particular type of woman that used to exist in Black America that is really scarce at this point. So this is why I constantly tell these women, man, you're gonna have to stand up to your mom, man. Sisters like Toya, especially, she has been one of those women who has repeatedly talked about doing this very thing and the positive results that it has yielded in her own personal life. So, this space, on this side can really, take credit for that development because, even she said, like, it's in these spaces, Roger's channel, where she was able to get certain information that she utilized and utilized to see if it will work, and it actually worked to her benefit. And she's still growing and developing in that vein, but she got that information in these spaces, which ultimately makes us look good because nobody can level the charge as, oh, y'all hate black women, y'all hate black women. Well, it's kind of hard for you to say that when we have black women who say, hey, man, I'm listening to these guys, I'm getting information, and I'm implementing what they say and do, and it's actually helping me out in my own personal life. You can't make that argument. So, but this is critical. Many of our parents were emotionally immature for whatever reason. Parents have gone through their own things too. So, we have to be, we have to be human enough to have mercy for them. But at the same time, we don't absolve them for the things that they did. We just learn from that and just put it in a proper perspective so you don't spend your life wasting your life beating up on somebody who ultimately is going to leave you, and you're going to have to live your own life. You know what I'm saying? You learn from their, mistakes. You try to be, better than them, because each generation is supposed to be better. And, you just, accept what you could not change, because you can't change them. They are who they are. They were who they were. But that doesn't mean you have to be that way. And I'll just leave it there.
Rael the Great in the building. One more time, everybody in the chat. Come on, y'all. Let me see them ones in the chat, everybody. Make sure you subscribe, man. Let me see them ones in the chat. Make sure y'all get the links to all the book drops that Rael gave out tonight. Thank you for co-hosting the show once again, my brother. Great, powerful discussion. So, Rael, I'm going to steal from you again. As you were talking, I was thinking about how I'm going to close. So, I'm going to put on my Ika Mouse. And and reggae, the reggae, they real big on the spiritual, right? And you said something in your clothes that helped me with my clothes. And tonight, and I put in the chat, I was messing around in the chat. In the chat, I said, game versus wisdom, 200, shout out 200 block, and game -0. Game, and I said, wisdom wins. But I put on this reggae, and I think about how we talked about spirit today. And you said something about, you alluded to being a prince and you needing to be able to take care of the kingdom, the pride, and being the king. And it really like a light bulb went off, bro. Cause what is the key? What is one of the, let's say if you had like a game show, like let's say if it was The Price is Right, or what was the one that Steve Harvey hosted, and you get to pick traits of a king. Ding, 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 ding. Wisdom. So I looked up king as it relates to wisdom, and it's so powerful what it brought up. And God be working with this podcast, man. Prayers go up, blessings come down, man. Thank you, God, man. I mean, DS1 came through, Sleep TV. Please subscribe. It's an A-game lifestyle. Heal before we build, and purchase the products. So I look up wisdom, right, as it relates to being the king, and it brought up King Solomon. And King Solomon being the king of wisdom. And so powerful, man. And Rael, you already know where I'm gonna go with it. Let me read what King Solomon asked for. So let me read this right here. It's not that bright. I need there we go. I need more brightness because your boy blind. Solomon praised God and offered sacrifices to worship him. Christ connection. King Solomon could have asked for earthly treasures, but he asked for wisdom to lead God's people. God created people to do his will. King Solomon asked God for wisdom. God gave King Solomon wisdom and very great insight, and a breadth of incoming usage. One might refer to vernacular wisdom, or the saying of how did Solomon become wise. And I remember my grandmother talk about King Solomon being wise. And I thought, as you were talking about your mom preparing you and your family preparing you to take over the kingdom, and it might have been a farm, and one of those old stories, and being able to not have the bank come take the farm. People, wow, king this, king that. Nah, just being able to not have the bank come take the house. You have knowledge of having the bank account and who's on the deed. That's empowering you to be the king. That's giving you wisdom. And then I just started, and so I just wanted to leave y'all with King Solomon. Like when we talked about game versus wisdom, When King Solomon had an opportunity to pray, think of if you had an audience of God. And we all do, because he loves us like that. You know what I'm saying? And you had an opportunity to request. Solomon said his prayer was for wisdom and insight, not game. And I could say King Solomon, and everybody knows who that is. That name resonates. King Solomon was the king of wisdom. Did you know that though? Did you know that when he had an opportunity to ask God that he prayed for wisdom? Did you know that? The Bible says in Proverbs, do not forsake wisdom, and she will protect you. You love her, and she will watch over you. Wisdom is supreme. Therefore, get wisdom. Though it cost all you have, get understanding. I'm gonna read that again because that's I think Rael said that 3 different ways today. This is Proverbs 4, 6, and 7. Do not forsake wisdom, and she will protect you. Love her, and she will watch over you. Wisdom is supreme. Therefore, get wisdom. Though it cost you all you have. I talked about my divorce, and Rael was in the chat, said, I know it was worth it. Some of those lessons, those be the most valuable. I talked about my testimony and having people like Herb benefit from that testimony. It said, though it costs all you have, get understanding. That's it. Thank y'all for tuning in. My name is Perfect Timing Podcast. Thank you, Rael, for joining me and co-hosting the show. Hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell. I want you to be able to get all of the beautiful vibes in the beginning of the show, get the beautiful characters that I create, get the prayer. Make sure you get the prayer. You want to make sure you hear the prayer so you make sure that you're blessed. If you did hear the prayer, I pray that you're blessed. I pray that the message was a blessing unto you and your family and your loved ones. Slay the dragon, and I'm not taking it lightly that it may be a difficult thing to do. But we're not saying don't love your mom. Don't. But we're saying put everything in its proper place as a man so that you have success. Oh, Toya, you know what time it is. It's Leo season. Yeah, right. I bought about 5 football jerseys. Since I don't like NFL no more, I got football. I had a football jersey on today. And my wife said I look good in orange, so I had Denver Broncos on. These like $200 football jerseys. So I had Denver Broncos on today. If you go back, I don't know what show I had the Bengals on. I got some black and orange shoes. So I got some orange. So my wife said I look good in orange. So I got some I got this Cleveland Brown. Oh, and then for my birthday, I ain't even gonna tell you what jersey I got for my birthday. But it's crazy. It's orange though. But I bought like 5, and I got my Hawaiian shirts. And I told my wife I need to go get some black diamonds. You know what I'm saying? And I need a boat, and I need a Raptor. You know what I'm saying? It's Leo season, bitch. NSTC, no sleep till Christmas. Your funky cock, no good, flat back, half of you. You know what I'm saying? It's a celebration around this motherfucker. Channel blowing up, man. Thank you so much to all my new subscribers, my Instagram subscribers, my farmers producing fruit. What did we talk about, man, today, right? We talked about, the guy gave me a couple analogies. He gave me the analogy of my grandmother's grapevine. And the owners of this home not knowing that the grapevine had the ability and had the game. The grapevine had the game. The grapevine had the DNA. The grapevine knew it was a grape and knew it could produce grape, but the grapevine did never produce grapes for the previous owner because they were not good parents. They did not understand that the grapevine needed to be put through stress in order to be made resilient before it could be productive. What has been the key word? Message. Productive. Be productive. The grapevine would not produce fruit until I wove it around the trellis and I wove the branches to the branches would break. And I wove them even tighter and I stressed out the plant. The plant became resilient. It produced flowers and then it produced vibrant, rich fruit that my family was able to benefit from. But if I never put that plant through that emotional stress, if y'all hear what we saying today? It's a love story. I wouldn't have no grapes. You wouldn't be a king without long suffering, without being put through that stress, without being made resilient. And what's happening with our little boys not being able to read, not underperforming, is they lack a man in their life. What happened with me with my father, what women compliment me on, while women hit on me and men like Rael, my father put a royal foot in my ass. Stressed me the fuck out. What's that song, Baby I Like, Bob? Put it in the chat, the song I love by Fabulous. He told his son, he said, what did he say? He said, I pop quiz him, like, stop, listen. He talking to a 4 or 5-year-old. He said, I put my chain on him now, it's heavy for him. You see, he's an Afro-Latino. He got that Latino background. And his woman know to shut the fuck up, I'm building the king. I pop quiz him, like, stop, listen. My father would pop quiz me. We got dictionary, we got encyclopedia. I don't know where he got them fucking encyclopedias. We got the kid version that was red leather and the adult version. This was Google before Google. And if I said something that didn't make, he would send me to the wall. Dennis, go get the encyclopedia, whatever the fuck the word was, and look it up. These things cost, with the bookcases, cost $3,000-$4,000. Where you get these from? Encyclopedia Britannica. And would make us go get the goddamn encyclopedia. I'm pissed off right now. He created this man. He created this king. And I love you, Pop. So you see my fruit. Rael always speaks about his grandfather created the king that you see that displays the fruit. Hit the link. I bought these books. Women want to be with a man like this. You want children. It takes that resilience. So you gotta be brave enough, bold enough, be emotionally mature, and pop quiz them. Like, stop, listen. No, I said this. Pick it up. No, do it again. I don't give a fuck what they said. Put it back down. Break it apart. Put it back together. Do it again. Now do it again. With tears in their eyes. Now do it again. Chris Rock said, punch them in their chest or you don't love them. That's not game. Solomon didn't pray for game. Solomon's not known. You don't know Solomon. You don't have a partner named Solomon because of game. King Solomon, you know Solomon. You got a friend named Solomon because he was wise. Right, I said my father hit me in my chest. They had gorilla paws. I remember my father and them would punch me in my chest and I couldn't breathe and they would laugh. The goal was remember we would play the game chess. The goal was to take your win. And him and my uncle would laugh as I looked at them like I know my father how much he loved me. He loved me. I'm about to cry. He loved me so much. How could it be funny for something you love so much for you to see it almost about to die? My mom and him, one of the fights they had, I love swimming. he threw me in the pool, so I threw my boys in the pool. That's how me and my little brother Manu, that's how we learned how to swim. My father read that. He saw that kids born know how to swim.
Man, as young boys, like in like middle school, we was imitating it so much. Like we used to bust each other in the chest to see who was the hardest.
That's it. That was the game.
Who could take the most pain?
It was called chess. It was called the game. If you got caught walking around the hallway and your chest wasn't covered, bow,
yeah.
And the goal was for you to pass out. If you passed the nigga out, then you was hard. I lost friends about the shit because I was so big and I like to play the game. That nigga had fluid on his lungs to this day. But I love you, bro. But yeah, man. Steel sharp as steel, man.
Tell each other, put that bird back in the cage.
Yeah, bird chest, man. Shit. Who's fat now? Your little ass. All the fat jokes was cool until they don't want to play. I can't play chess there. Fat nigga can't play this game. I can play any other game. I can't play this game. You want to race me? We gotta play chess there too, nigga. But thank y'all for tuning in, man. It's been a very powerful podcast. 3 hours, 18 minutes. Make sure y'all subscribe, man. I will see y'all tomorrow morning on the Roger Report Live. The weekend comes soon, man. The weekend to come soon, man. Habitual Line Stepper, shout out. Yeah, we're going to be over there partying, man. Subscribe to Black Man Being Brutally Honest, man. The weekend comes soon. And Kev said he was giving up Fridays, and everybody said they want me to do Friday. So we might be in the mix come Friday night, y'all. We might have to do an inaugural episode of Perfect Timing Podcast Radio on Friday night, man. Because Kev said he was giving up Friday. So what can we do but do an inaugural episode? So I think we might have to do an inaugural episode. So I think I'll see y'all again Friday night. And we're going to be celebrating, kicking off the Weekend Warrior, you know what I'm saying? Passing the torch to Perfect Timing Podcast. And I know he mentioned Art New Star. Art New Star got big subscribers. Art New Star gave me a wrench. And I really appreciate super intelligent brother. How do we have such talented, God loves us. We have such talented brothers in the space. So I'm not picking up on Friday to negate his mention of Art Nusal. I'm picking up Fridays in regards to a conversation me and Roger had about people going live and how he grew his channel about going live when other prominent YouTubers were live. So I'm going live Friday in that time slot to show respect to Art in the mathematics and algorithm that Roger was teaching me about going up against other prominent YouTubers to make a name for yourself. So it's a challenge. It's a race to the top. And there are no winners and no losers when we all reach to the top of the mountain. So I appreciate the opportunity that Kev has put out there. And it's an opportunity for all of the new content creators, Toya, Rogish, everybody. All of us go live Friday night and everybody ping pong with the Weekend Warrior giving up Friday nights. And the Cool Table locks down that spot. That's still our spot on the schoolyard. That's still our spot. The Weekend Warrior not doing Friday, but the Cool Table claim this is still our spot. So we all going live. We all support each other because we already had this spot. So Cool Table representatives is already online looking for Kevin, the Weekend Warrior. Shit, I was thinking about looking for his thumbnail and putting it up, or I might just put Weekend Warrior in the hashtag so people know what to look for. So if people was looking for the Weekend Warrior, they won't be sad when Kev ain't live. Nah, don't be sad. The Cool Table, the Habitual Line Steppers, you know what I'm saying? The Ruthless Nice Guys hadn't forgot about you. We still got this wisdom. We still got this knowledge. We still got this entertainment. Perfect Timing Podcast Radio going to be in the mix Friday night. And if you're going to be in the mix, let them know. Toya, if you're going to be in the mix, Rogish, let them know. Cool Table holding down this position, baby. Right? That's what we're going to do. That's how we're going to do it like that, man. Thank y'all for tuning in. How y'all like that thumbnail? How y'all like that thumbnail? How y'all like that thumbnail? My thumbnail game is shitty. Woo! Leo season. Thank you to all my new subscribers, all the new viewers. Instagram, get on over there, take a look at that garden, man, that beautiful family, man. Subscribe to my Twitter page, join the conversation, man. See all the different conversations that the brothers are having on Twitter. Come on over to Facebook. I go live on Facebook. Join the conversation that we having on Facebook. We got different groups and everything going on Facebook. What happened with me and information, man, generated from a conversation from a Facebook group. What you won't notice if you're not following us on Facebook, we're joining these groups and supporting us on these different platforms. You got Facebook anyway, you got Twitter, Instagram anyway. Hit the share button, hit the like button, share this platform, share Roger's stream, share Kev's stream with your social media family. Let them know how you've become so cool. Let them know why your behavior has changed. Let them know why you feel so positive about God and about life. Let them know this new direction, where it generates from. Go ahead and share the stream. Toya says she got 3. So I don't know what time Kev usually go live. I think Kev go live at night. So I don't know. I was going to go live at the time he go live. So whatever time he go live, I'm going to go live at that time. So Toya got 3. So I'm going to be over there supporting Toya. Toya going to be live at 3 on Friday. I seen Toya try to go live the other day. Shout out Toya looking beautiful in all of her live streams. Shout out Kwafi Nino for featuring the beautiful sister in his latest video. I said, Kwafi, you created a genre with that video, and you were bold and brave enough. Just like I feel like I was bold and brave to do the after show. A lot of people might have desired to do the after show, but it took a lot of boldness and bravery because I knew I would get people a target on my back. But the show was so worthy of an after show. But Young OG 2. That's that song I love, Young OG 2 by Fabulous. I might close out on that. That on Father's Day.
Attention, parents of
YouTube will get their money, man. Perfect Timing Podcast Radio. Thank y'all for tuning in, man. Gang versus Wisdom. Shout out King Solomon. Wisdom wins every time. 200 block in the building. Game 0. Wisdom 200.
It's not real.
God wins every time. Let's go. When God wins, you win. When God wins, family wins. When God wins, your son wins. Young OG 2, put that prince on the pedestal. Put that prince on the throne so he become a king. Teach him resilience.
Look, the saddest story come from those who once had the glory. Had the 40s, diamond watches, and the baddest shorties. Now they in they latter 40s. Bunch of kids, scattered shorties. No respect for none neglect, they call they daddy Corey. I'm from a different cloth, that ain't the pattern for me. There's levels to this shit, it's different categories. Can't be like these niggas out here looking fat and gaudy. They ain't never won no rings, but be mad at Hori. Talking about, man, that nigga don't deserve that shit. Like I was really in these streets, I used to serve that shit. We started from the bottom, at the topsy-turvy that shit. Get it while the getting's good, after that preserve that shit. My ex texted me last night, but I curved that shit. Coulda end up hitting that, be too late to swerve that shit. That's a young mistake, Lord knows I made me some. I love getting brain, that never made me dumb. All I did was made me come, swear these hoes made me numb. Only feelings for this bitch you been, shoulda gave me some. I knew some niggas who had bread, never gave me crumbs. Drank the whole fucking juice and never saved me some. I know how young niggas feel, I had to live through shit. See the world is constipated, nobody gon' give you shit. I learned that niggas gon' be niggas, yeah we shouldn't do it. But hoes gon' be hoes, they just hate admitting to it. Where I bet, getting to it, going through and getting through it. Running around killing shit, telling cops I didn't do it. That's why they call me Young OG. And I'ma spit this dope shit into my tongue OD. I flew my shorty in from Cali and she brung OG. She got me chilling in my city, but my lungs OT. Yeah, and fuck them niggas online, reply why. Broke niggas talking cause it's free Wi-Fi. Yeah.
Trouble tears, they'll land you in. Open your eyes, it's all a disguise. The fear that you feel is not real. Not real. The fear that you feel is not real. No. Similar skies, similar tides that I know all about.
Yeah.
I do.
My son gon' be a king. I tell him every morning. I put my chain on his neck. Right now it's heavy on him. One day it all'll be his, so I'm forever on him. I test him all the time, and I never want him. I pop quiz him like stop, listen, and drop wisdom. Pop's vision, the bottom's crowded, the top isn't. We talk WAP missions, cops prison. I help him see it clearly. I'm his life optician. Can learn from my experience, but young ain't gotta live. It's not with that mentality, that's something gotta give. Cause that's how we grew up. Probably should've picked for boogers. Nah, we was on the streets, jugging for that mugger. Still, scared that you still could get killed. That fear that you feel, was that real? But I'm there like I will not get killed. So that fear that I feel is not real, boy. I'm a true king, trying to raise a new king. I wanna show him stuff, teach him how to do things. How to ride a bike, how to tie shoestrings, how to be a man, how to treat his boo thing.
How to be a man, how to treat his boo thing.
I don't blame you niggas, I blame your old head.
I don't blame you, nigga, I blame your old head.
Papa wasn't down. Papa used to come through. Papa doesn't now.
Papa doesn't now.
Should've protected me, but Papa wasn't around.
Papa wasn't
So
around.
now I got this 9 that Papa doesn't round. The kids grow up quick, usually grow you up too. Turn you to a big dog. That's what having pups do. Did a lot, but I know that I ain't done yet. Before it goes down, I make sure that my sunset. You made me so strong.
I love you, boys. If y'all hear me, I love you, boys. I love you, audience, Perfect Timing family. I love you, son. All of my young princes, I pray you grow to be kings. I pray your resilience yields you fruit in your life. Everybody bless. I'll see y'all Friday night. Peace out from Perfect Timing Podcast.